The hero of the party announces that Nicola is being kicked out. Nicola stands in shock, unable to comprehend what he's just heard. He remembers being chosen for the hero's party 2 years prior, tasked with defeating the Demon King. Initially, he had declined the offer, as he hated the idea of working. However, after being enthusiastically invited multiple times, he agreed, seeing it as part of his training as a martial artist. Together they fought monsters and overcame many hardships. Their eyes were set on their goal, the Demon King. But then the hero, the leader of their party, suddenly told him he was kicked out. One of his female comrades simply stated that it was just as the hero said. Nicola, in disbelief, asks what's going on and reminds them they are a team. The hero declares that a coward like him couldn't be part of their team, and that his reputation has damaged the hero's noble slogan. Another party member, a mage, chimes in, admitting that as an adventurer he taught her many techniques. She acknowledges that thanks to him she has become strong. Nicola argues that this makes him an indispensable member of the party. However, she now regrets it, complaining about how it feels to be labeled the apprentice of a coward by strangers. Nicola retorts that while he doesn't know that feeling, he understands how it feels to be called a coward by comrades he's traveled with for years. The mage snaps, saying it's his carefree attitude that she hates. Nicola asks if they can even manage without him. The hero confidently proclaims there's no problem, because he exists. The other female party members cheer in agreement. Nicola realizes he's just getting in the way. Resigned, Nicola decides to leave, and wishes them luck with the Demon King. The hero smugly tells him to leave it to him. He then tells Nicola to hurry up and disappear, calling him an eyesore as Nicola turns away. The hero suddenly attacks him from behind, declaring his back is exposed. His former comrades join the attack. Standing over the fallen Nicola, the hero informs him they will be taking his garments. They walk away, telling. Lying on the ground, beaten and betrayed, Nicola wonders who the real coward is. The story then jumps forward 2 years. Nicola firmly states that he is not going to work. A woman named Sattler listens to him. He explains that a martial artist's life involves constant discipline to maintain their body and technique, that he believes that becoming entangled with society causes one to hesitate when risking their life. Therefore, he thinks that if a martial artist works, they lose. Sattler says she understands what he's saying. She interprets his words as a desire to keep leeching off her, which he confirms. She admits she would love to kick him out if he weren't her brother. Nicola isn't concerned about money, as she provides for his daily needs, and he can steal pocket money from bandits. Having heard he's stacked up a lot of money from stealing, she asks what he's been spending it on. He evasively replies that it's a secret. Nicola then asks why she's trying so hard to get him to work, since she's already set for life. Sattler sighs in exasperation, finding it unbelievable that he is the successor to the Earl's family. Nicola argues that the Earl title is just an honorific given to their uncle, and since they weren't given any land, he has no need for honor. Regardless, Sattler declares that she is going to make him work. Nicola scoffs, saying there's no way anyone would hire jobless trash like him. Sattler tells him she will be referring him to a job. He asks if she found a job that pays well, gives lots of time off, and doesn't complain if he does nothing, to which she replies, in your dreams. She assures him, however, that it's a job that fits him perfectly. Nicola reminds her that he doesn't intend to work, and that she knows the reason why. Sattler correctly guesses his reason is for the sake of living comfortably as a freeloader. She advises him to move on from his past traumas and become a functional part of society, reminding him that not everyone is a bad person. She reveals that the school she manages is looking for a new teacher, and she's going to have him become one. Nicola asks if he'll be teaching formal studies, but Sattler says she doesn't think he's capable of that. She explains that declining birth rates have become a big social problem. To increase birth rates, they need more marriages, leading to a public outcry for schools to teach boys and girls how to polish their appeal, which is why her school was formed. Nicola begins to understand the school's purpose. The key to appeal, she says, is power. She explains that while income, looks, and intelligence used to matter nowadays, being weak negates all other value. She notes that too much weight is placed on strength, with one critic saying a human's worth is determined by their muscle. The world needs men and women who can provide power, and her school was created to meet these demands. Sattler tells Nicola that while he may be a jobless leech, his experience in the hero's party and his martial arts skills should make him easy to hire as a teacher. She adds that teaching others should help him grow as a person. Nicola worries that he's not a people person, but Sattler reassures him that he'll get along with everyone just fine. She then informs him that there is also an employment exam he needs to pass. Nicola finds the exam to be a pain, but sees no way around it. Sattler warns him that she will be watching the exam and will kick him out if he tries to deliberately fail. She tells him to show what he can do if he doesn't want to end up on the streets. Nicola finds himself in Shanoa, a country established by Mixter's people, that he reflects that he'll never get used to seeing humans and magical beings like elves, goblins, and giants living together. He reaches for his pocket, only to make a startling discovery. He forgot his wallet. That as he wonders what to do, a man suddenly shouts at a young girl, accusing her of bumping into him. The young girl argues that he was the one who bumped into her. The man angrily shouts that his suit is ruined because an ugly girl like her touched it. Watching the scene unfold, Nicola realizes this is his chance. The man grabs the girl's arm, demanding money for damages. Nicola suddenly intervenes, pushing the girl forward and telling her to run. The man and his group yell for them to wait. Nicola and the girl flee down the street. They stop in an alley where he tells her they should be safe. However, their pursuer appears, calling Nicola a damn rat. The man menacingly approaches them. Nicola swiftly strikes the man in the stomach, incapacitating him. The girl watches in shock. The girl turns to Nicola and timidly asks who he is. He introduces himself as jobless, or rather formerly jobless, and a guy who plans to become a teacher. Nicola tells the young woman he's going to become a teacher. He specifies that it will be at the Shano Academy. She is surprised and delighted by this coincidence, revealing that she was just admitted to the academy that very day. Nicola is taken aback by the news. Nicola observes that she looks quite weak. She explains that's precisely why she enrolled. She wants to change. She adds that she even got her parents' permission to attend. Realizing they haven't been properly introduced, Nicola decides to rectify that. The girl introduces herself as Alice, a first-year student. Nicola gives his name in return. Alice thanks him for his help earlier, but he dismisses it while searching the unconscious man's wallet. He finds a jackpot of 13 gold coins. Alice questions his actions, but Nicola retorts that the man has no right to complain since he was trying to extort people. Alice concedes his point, but remains hesitant. As Nicola tries to leave, they are interrupted that a sudden shout echoes through the alley. A girl rushes into the alley, calling Alice a princess, and accusing Nicola of being a criminal for bringing her there. Alice tries to explain that it's a misunderstanding. The girl ignores her, telling Nicola to say his prayers. She lunges forward to attack. Nicola effortlessly catches her fist. Nicola quickly slams the attacker to the ground. Alice rushes to her side, calling out her name. Alice asks why she acted so rashly, and Iris explains that she heard a man had taken the princess away, and she came to help. Alice reassures Iris that she's fine and explains that Nicola, a prospective teacher, had actually helped her. Iris looks at him with suspicion. She apologizes, admitting she thought he meant to harm the princess. But Nicola notes that punching first isn't a good way to make an impression, that he asks if he looks like a kidnapper. Iris retorts that he has a typical criminal face and looks like a friendless loser, much to his annoyance. Alice expresses her hope that Nicola could become their homeroom teacher, while Iris mentions the teacher exhibition matches. Realizing he might be late, Nicola asks them to explain the situation to the school for him. He quickly departs, leaving the girls to comment on how busy he seems. Nicola rushes across the grounds of Shano Academy, that he arrives at an arena just in time. He announces his presence to a waiting woman. He apologizes for being late, but the woman assures him she was briefed on his rescue of a student. She teases that she will have to change her views on him, but Nicola complains that her praise doesn't sound sincere. She informs him that the audience has been briefed and his opponent is waiting. He asks if he's flunked, but she confirms he hasn't and tells him to go show them what he's got. She reminds him to recall the exam details. The woman reviews the rules, the demonstration match. Victory is achieved by knockout or surrender. Any magic or weapon is permitted. She adds that for Nicola, this is irrelevant, as his bare fists have always been his best weapon. She then explains the 3 primary forms of combat, starting with firearms. The second category is magic, the bending of elements. The third involves the use of Kai, an inner vital force that strengthens the body. She warns Nicola to be careful, as his opponent possesses quite elevated Kai levels. However, Nicola is unfazed, confident that his years of training and fighting bandits will prove their worth. Nicola enters the arena. The crowd cheers for him, thanking him for rescuing the princess. His opponent appears, noting Nicola's sudden popularity. The opponent asks if his Kai has left Nicola speechless, boasting that only a few at the academy can control it as well as he can. He tells Nicola that he drew the short straw by facing him. The man offers a preemptive apology to avoid future problems. A cloud of Kai surrounds Nicola. The man's apology turns to mockery as he laughs that he says he finds it intriguing that Nicola's Kai levels are so run-of-the-mill. Nicola's expression hardens as he prepares for the fight. The woman from earlier addresses Alice as princess. She shows her to a special seat. Alice protests, stating that she is a student and wishes to refrain from receiving special treatment. The woman apologizes. She remarks how much Alice resembles the king, which surprises Alice, who asks if she knows her father. The woman confirms this, explaining the academy's close ties to the Elven Kingdom. Alice admits she was unaware, as her father rarely keeps her informed. Alice wonders if her father doesn't trust her. The woman reveals that the king has entrusted her with shaping Alice into an excellent combatant. She encourages Alice, saying that graduating will earn her the king's respect. Filled with new resolve, Alice declares she will grow stronger and earn his trust. The woman then asks about the trouble she ran into on her way there. After hearing the story, the woman is glad her foolish brother could be of help. Iris asks for permission to ask a question. She asks if Nicola was injured during the fight. They turn their attention back to the arena. Iris observes that Nicola's Kai levels are much lower than before. Alice begins to tear up, wondering if it's her fault, and if he was injured while rescuing her. However, the woman reassures her that isn't the case, stating that her brother is in perfect form. Iris asks why his Kai seems so lame then. The woman begins to explain. She explains that her brother doesn't see this as a mere demonstration match, but as a fight with no holds barred. Did I end the arena? The opponent asks Nicola to surrender. He explains that defeating the hero who saved the elven princess would tarnish his reputation as a teacher. Nicola admits he's a sucker for popularity. The opponent suggests that if Nicola surrenders, they can both walk away with their heads held high, but Nicola says they won't know until they fight. The opponent presses on, stating that his Kai levels are far superior to Nicola's. After a moment of consideration, Nicola agrees that he raises his hands in surrender. The opponent tells him he made the right decision, and Nicola concurs. Just as his opponent turns away, Nicola lunges forward and delivers a powerful blow that his opponent reels from the hit. Nicola begins to explain what happened. He pretended to surrender and lowered his Kai output to make his opponent drop his guard. Confident in his superiority, the man allowed Nicola to approach. This left him completely exposed to his sudden attack. Nicola reveals that he had concealed his Kai and concentrated it in his legs, allowing him to take his opponent down in a single blow. He advises the man to learn how real fights take place. His opponent collapses to the ground. The winner is declared to be Nicola. The crowd immediately erupts in protest, calling it foul play and labeling him a coward. Other teachers refuse to accept him, claiming he'll be a bad influence on the students. Nicola's sister acknowledges it was a cheap victory, but points out that he broke no rules, praising the exceptional speed and Kai of his attack. She adds that anyone who falls for such a simple trick is not worthy of teaching at the academy. Her words silence the crowd. She officially welcomes Nicola to the faculty. She tells the other teachers to learn from him, reminding them that real combat doesn't always start right away. The crowd begins to applaud, understanding her point about honing their battle instincts and being prepared at any moment. From a window in the academy, Nicola observes the grounds. He notes that the student body seems to be segregated. At this academy, students are typically separated into classrooms based on their race. However, there are two exceptions to this rule, the first being the elite first class, composed exclusively of the strongest students. The second exception is the 9th class, which Nicola is now in charge of. As a classroom for the weakest first years, who are only kept at the academy for the large funds their families provide. Realizing this must be the place, Nicola approaches the door. He slides the classroom door open. As Nicola enters, he is met with silence from the students. Suddenly, Iris slams her hand on a desk and confronts him, demanding to know what he is doing there. Nicola calmly recognizes her, that he recalls her as the girl he slammed to the ground in a back alley. Iris repeats her question, demanding an answer. Nicola stands at the front of the room and announces that he is the teacher in charge of their class. Iris furiously tells him there's nothing to learn from a coward and orders him to leave. The other students quickly agree, shouting for him to get out. Nicola remains silent. The insult reminds him of his past. Nicola sharply addresses the students as idiots, reminding them that as the weakest first years, they have no right to choose their teacher. The class falls silent, that he challenges them to consider why a new teacher like him would be assigned to their class. Nicola explains that it's because no other teacher was willing to take on their class. He explains he got the short end of the stick. One student speaks up, admitting they might be the weakest. However, he points out that Iris is different, revealing she is one of the 5 strongest students in the whole academy. Nicola concedes that compared to the others, Iris does have the strongest Kai, that he then reveals that the reason for her strength is simple. It's her duty to be strong as Alice's bodyguard. Nicola states he isn't there by choice and won't be teaching them anything, declaring it self-study time. The students are shocked by his announcement. One student rallies them, suggesting they can become stronger without the coward's help. They agree and decide to start training themselves. Some students begin reading and writing. Others start physical exercises like sit-ups. One student even begins to meditate. From his desk, Nicola watches them. After observing for a while, Nicola concludes that only Iris shows any real promise. Deciding to check on the others, he gets up. That he approaches Alice and yanks her book away. She's startled and asks what he's doing. Nicola announces he will test their strength and orders everyone with a book to start doing push-ups. The students begin the exercise. Alice questions the change from self-study. Nicola simply says her name. This causes her to blush and wonder what he's thinking. Alice quickly collapses, admitting she can't do push-ups. Nicola instructs her to try again, so he can observe. She agrees to try again. She attempts the exercise once more as he watches her form closely. Panting, Alice says she can't do it. Nicola tells her he's noticed something, that he advises her to focus her chi only on her upper body. He explains that since push-ups primarily use the arms and chest, concentrating chi there is more efficient. Alice decides to focus her chi as instructed. With new determination, she prepares herself. She successfully performs a push-up. Overjoyed, she exclaims that she did it. Nicola notes that she's quite skilled at focusing her chi on specific parts of her body. Alice explains that while she lacks muscle and chi, she's always been good at circulating it quickly. Now understanding her abilities, Nicola tells her she can resume self-study. Elsewhere in the classroom, Iris observes their interaction. Nicola looks out the window, musing that he'd hoped to become stronger by teaching. However, he feels it's impossible under these conditions and resigns himself to getting fired. His thoughts are interrupted when he notices a commotion outside, wondering if a fight has started. Outside, Alice confronts an orc student from the elite class. Her classmates plead with the bully to stop. The orc smirks, declaring she won't stop, and states that the 9th class exists only to be bullied by the 1st class students. Nicola recognizes the bully as an elite student. The bully continues her taunts, calling them cowards who rely on their parents' money. She says they should be thankful she gives them a reason to exist. Alice retorts that it's just her ego speaking. The bully agrees. Nicola reflects that strength is what allows ego to exist. The bully declares that as long as she's one of the strongest, they will be nothing but her punching bags. The other students are disheartened. The bully scoffs at Alice's defiance. Alice stands up for them, admitting they may be cowards, but insisting they are all kind at heart. Amused, the bully decides to unmask their facade of kindness. She orders 3 of the students to fight each other. The winner will earn a pass from her bullying. Horror-frightened, Alice watches. Her classmates, desperate to avoid being bullied, turn on each other. Alice rushes in, pleading for them to stop. The bully laughs, calling them despicable. Alice tells her to stop humiliating her classmates. The bully coldly refuses, stating that she will continue to make fun of them and won't stop the bullying. The bully aggressively swats Alice's hand away. Just then Nicola arrives and orders her to stop. Alice, worried, tells him that the bully is trying to provoke him into a fight. The students are surprised to see their teacher intervene. The bully sneers, annoyed that her fun was interrupted, as she was eager to ruin Alice's face. She markedly tells Alice to thank her parents for her princess status. Alice turns to Nicola for help. Tears welling up, Alice laments that she couldn't fulfill her duty as an elven princess to protect people. Nicola tells her she stood no chance against an orc. With renewed determination, Alice declares she wants to become stronger. Nicola asks if she is certain. Alice states her resolve, saying she'll do anything to protect what's precious to her, even if it means becoming a demon. Nicola acknowledges her firm determination. Smiling, Nicola offers to guide her down that path. He warns her that others might label her a coward for it. Alice insists she doesn't mind. Nicola asks if she's sure, mentioning his last disciple hated being called a coward by her peers. Alice declares she can ignore any insults if it means she can protect those dear to her. She bows deeply, formally asking Nicola to take her as his disciple. Seeing her conviction, Nicola smiles. A sudden rattle from Iris' chair startles Nicola awake. Iris grabs Nicola's shirt, questioning his behavior as a teacher. She points out that he has yet to teach them anything. Unfazed, Nicola reiterates that he will only teach when he feels like it. With a swift motion, Nicola throws Iris across the classroom, telling her to learn on her own. The other students are stunned, murmuring that the so-called coward can actually back up his words, as Iris kneels in disbelief. Nicola claps to silence the class and tells them to get back to self-studying. Just then, Alice bursts in, apologizing for being late. Panting, she explains she traveled all the way from the Elven Kingdom. Iris rushes to Alice's side, calling her princess. Iris asks why she's here, thinking she had urgent business to attend to. Alice clarifies that jogging to class was part of her personal training. She apologizes to Iris, explaining that she couldn't allow her to tag along this time. Alice cheerfully announces to Iris that she has become Nicola's disciple. Iris is outraged, warning that the coward will only take advantage of her. Alice firmly tells Iris to stop besmirching their teacher's reputation. Alice bows to Nicola, apologizing for Iris's impertinence. She uses the moment as an opening to launch a surprise kick, which he effortlessly blocks. Alice smiles, admitting she figured the attack wouldn't work. Nicola commends her for trying to create an opening by apologizing. However, he points out that her surprise attack needed to be stealthier. Now that she's his disciple, he has something they need to do first. He declares it's time to go to war with the orc who made her cry. Alice leads Nicola to the first-class classroom, which he notes is completely different from the 9th class. They decide to sneak in through the back door. Nicola remarks on the sharp senses of the first-class students. The teacher asks what they need in the middle of class. Nicola announces they came to confront one of his students for bullying one of his own. He points directly at the orc girl that he tells her to take this outside. The orc student scoffs, mocking Alice for relying on a teacher for revenge. She calls Alice pathetic. Nicola calmly clarifies that he isn't the one who will be fighting her. Nicola declares that Alice will be her opponent. The announcement is met with laughter. The orc markedly compares the matchup to a lion fighting a bunny. Nicola concedes that Alice can't beat the orc as she is right now. He asks for 3 months to train her, that he confidently guarantees that Alice will be able to defeat her by then. The orc scoffs at the idea, saying nothing will change in that time. Nicola boasts that with his guidance, Alice will surely overpower her. The first-class teacher interjects, calling Nicola's words bold. He accuses Nicola of obtaining his position through trickery and nepotism. The teacher's anger manifests as a powerful aura. Nicola calmly acknowledges the impressive Kai directed at him. When the teacher asks if he's cowering, Nicola replies that he's far stronger. He diffuses the situation by mentioning the principal is nearby. The teacher is shocked by the news. Before the teacher can react, Nicola swiftly kicks him. The sudden violence leaves Alice and the orc speechless that he sends the man flying out of the classroom. Nicola warns the class that this is a reminder that he and Alice aren't afraid to fight dirty. The orc student accepts the challenge, agreeing to settle it in 3 months. Nicola declares they will settle the score when the 1st and 9th classes compete. He tells the defeated teacher that he got what he deserved. Alice stands hesitantly outside a large residence, wondering if she should enter. Her thoughts are interrupted when a voice calls out to her. She is approached by 3 men who ask if she's one of Nicola's buddies. Assuming she's also there for revenge, they ask if she's there to get back at him. They begin pounding on the gate, demanding Nicola show himself. A sleepy Nicola opens the door, annoyed by the early morning ruckus. He greets Alice upon seeing her. The men are confused, asking if he's her teacher. Nicola confirms Alice is his pupil. The leader furiously accuses Nicola of deception, calling both him and Alice cowards. Without warning, Nicola punches one of the men. The leader demands an explanation for the sudden attack. Nicola calmly replies it's because he was being too loud. Nicola likens his action to slamming a magical alarm clock to shut it up. The bandit leader calls his logic twisted. He reveals he knows they are bandits seeking revenge because he captured their boss. The bandit leader blames Nicola for the collapse of his organization. He declares his intent to kill Nicola and seize power to reunite the factions. Nicola wryly observes that the bandit is just another scoundrel acting out of self-interest. Nicola further provokes the bandit by mentioning he donated the reward money, which the bandit leader calls a lie. Enraged, he vows to take Nicola's head. His comrade warns him of Nicola's signature low blow, which the leader acknowledges. Expecting a kick, the leader is caught off guard by a swift punch to the face. His subordinate is stunned by the change in tactics. Nicola denies having any particular fixation on low blows. Nicola explains that he always reads the situation to pick the best move, and he often aims for the crutch for a reason. Opponents who know his reputation focus on protecting that area, leaving them open elsewhere. The remaining bandit realizes they fell right into his trap. Nicola then issues a chilling warning against using Alice as a hostage. Nicola sees an opportunity for Alice to train and encourages her to fight the last bandit. Alice hesitates, steeling herself. She admits she's afraid to hurt him, unlike when she attacked Nicola. Nicola tells the bandit to let Alice punch him. The bandit defiantly refuses to be overpowered by an ELF. As the bandit lunges, Nicola swiftly incapacitates him with a chop to the neck. The bandit questions if he has any shame. Nicola retorts that bandits who have killed thousands of innocents have no right to complain, that he instructs Alice that the sole purpose of bandits is to be living punching bags. Nicola tells her to think of them as constructs of sin that exist to be punched. As the bandit screams his name in defiance, Nicola strikes him down again. Alice watches, taking the lesson to heart. Nicola explains to Alice that by provoking the bandit, he made him lower his guard, demonstrating that there are many ways to create openings for an attack. Alice seems to absorb the lesson. Meanwhile, the defeated bandits fly twitching on the ground. Nicola takes Alice to Sattler's residence, showing her the dojo. He then leads her to an impressive library that he explains that his family comes from a long line of martial artists, which explains the vast collection of books. Among them, he points out, are the secret manuscripts of Korn, a fighter from the legendary hero Roy's party, which leaves Alice amazed. Nicola contrasts the humble character of the legendary hero Roy with another hero that he clearly despises. When Alice asks if he's acquainted with the current hero, Nicola calls the man trash. Alice mentions hearing the current hero is quite amicable. Nicola scoffs at the idea, saying that if that man is amicable, then he must be a saint. He recounts how he was betrayed, literally stabbed in the back, and had all his equipment stolen by him. Alice corrects Nicola, informing him that the current hero is actually a woman. This surprises Nicola, but he realizes it could be possible. The title of hero is bestowed upon the winner of a yearly tournament held by the Kingdom of Seas, with the sole purpose of defeating the Demon Lord. Curious, Alice asks if Nicola was a member of a previous hero's party, that he reluctantly confirms he was a martial artist in the party of the hero J. He clarifies that he wasn't chosen by the kingdom, but was invited to join by a magician and a swordswoman he knew. Alice excitedly asks if he means Lady Mary and Lady Jessica. She explains they are known throughout the Sea's kingdom as its strongest combatants. Alice wonders why Nicola isn't as famous as his former party members. She then recalls hearing rumors about a martial artist who favored cowardly tactics and asks if that was him. Nicola confirms it was. He explains that Jay, who was obsessed with appearances, tried to hide Nicola's methods, but ultimately kicked him out of the party. Alice sympathizes with what Nicola has been through. She asks about Jay's current whereabouts. Nicola mentions a rumor that the demon lord stole Jay's Kai during a battle, leaving him in a bad state. He adds that it's a fitting end, as the party was weak without him. Nicola muses that Jay is too proud to face his companions now that he's at his lowest. Alice expresses relief that Nicola doesn't resent them, and is glad Jay is still alive. However, Nicola clarifies that he's actually delighted, as he can now take his vengeance with his own hands. Changing the subject back to Alice's training, Nicola explains that the library is one of his 3 pillars. The first pillar is the ability to find openings for powerful, debilitating strikes. The second is the know-how to control any situation to one's advantage. The final pillar is the vast knowledge of techniques contained within the library's books. Nicola explains that the books detail a wide variety of martial arts, allowing Alice to learn techniques suitable for her. He tries to get her excited, but she seems unsure that he criticizes the common approach of simply building muscle and Kai to trade blows, noting that a systematic approach is better. Alice observes that his approach is completely different, and he agrees. He tells Alice her odds of beating the orc are high, as certain fighting styles can succeed without superior muscle or Kai. Their greatest advantage is that their opponent underestimates Alice and won't prepare countermeasures. In contrast, they have plenty of time and motivation to investigate and prepare. To begin, Nicola wants to assess her current capabilities. Nicola explains that since they only have 3 months, they'll focus on the fighting style she leans towards most. He divides martial artists into 2 main types, the first being strikers, who use punches and kicks and benefit from a tall physique for reach. The second type is grapplers, who use throws and grabs and rely on power. When Alice ponders which category she fits into, she can't decide. She gloomily concludes she's neither. Nicola quickly reassures her that physique isn't the only deciding factor, that he explains that grapplers tend to be resilient and defensive, waiting for a chance to counter. Strikers, on the other hand, must be composed enough to create their own openings. After considering the descriptions, Alice decides she leans more towards being a striker. Nicola promptly hands her a towering stack of books, instructing her to read them all by the end of the day. When she asks if he's read them all, he confirms he has. Impressed, Alice smiles and says she knew he wasn't just a coward. Slightly annoyed, Nicola realizes that Alice's perception of him has been limited to his infamous tactics. He changes his instructions, telling her to finish all the books before noon instead, prompting Alice to ask about their afternoon plans. Nicola declares he will show Alice his strength without resorting to his usual cowardly techniques. They arrive in the bustling town of Shanawa, where the crowds are gathered for a visit from the hero. The visit is meant to strengthen relations, and the hero is quite popular. This reminds Nicola of how popular his old party leader, Jay, used to be. Nicola leads Alice to a gambling den. Upon entering, he casually greets the manager. The manager welcomes Mr. Nicola and expresses his pleasure at seeing Princess Alice is doing well. Alice is surprised the manager recognizes her. When asked about the purpose of their visit, Nicola introduces Alice as his disciple. He states that he wants to show her how strong he is, that he confidently asks the manager to sign him up for a match. The manager gladly agrees. Nicola requests their strongest opponent. The manager reveals they have a participant so powerful that no one else would face them. So Nicola asks for a handicap. The manager obliges, providing a ring that will limit Nicola's Kai to 1/3 of its potential. The manager leads them down a hallway. They approach a magic circle that serves as a teleporter. Nicola asks if Alice can accompany him. The manager warns him that any assistance from Alice will result in disqualification, but Nicola dismisses the concern. The manager agrees to make an exception and allows Alice to watch. He instructs them to step into the teleportation circle. As they prepare to depart, Alice wishes Nicola good luck. The magic circle activates, teleporting them away. Once they're gone, the manager turns to an attendant and gives an order. He hands his subordinate a bag of 100 gold coins and tells him to bet it all on Nicola. The attendant is shocked, knowing who the opponent is. The manager confidently states that this is precisely what makes it a long-shot win, as he is certain Mr. Nicola will emerge victorious. Nicola and Alice are teleported to a desolate wasteland, where a woman in armor awaits. She asks if he is her opponent. She then asks if it's the young girl with him, but Nicola calmly confirms that he is the one she will be fighting. The armored woman is indifferent, drawing her sword. She tells him to at least keep her entertained for a minute. Nicola coolly retorts that the lion is his. He comments on her shiny armor, guessing she's a high-ranked adventurer. His opponent seems surprised, asking if he truly doesn't know who she is. The woman confirms she used to be an adventurer. Nicola confidently tells Alice that this will be a piece of cake, and that she'll get a front-row seat to his power, that he then taunts his opponent, claiming he only needs one finger to defeat her. Enraged, she tells him to stop making fun of her. Nicola insists he isn't joking, and even offers to take on another handicap. This only angers the woman more, and she lunges at him with her sword. With incredible ease, Nicola stops the powerful swing, with just a single finger pressed against his neck. Declaring the fight over, Nicola is completely calm that he effortlessly dodges her frantic attack. He continues to evade all of her strikes. The woman is in disbelief, unable to comprehend how he can evade her. Nicola simply states that he's stronger. He ends the exchange with a light flick to her forehead, which sends her stumbling backward. He turns to Alice and asks if she now sees his strength. Alice enthusiastically agrees, amazed that he's so powerful even without his cowardly tactics. The woman is crushed by the realization that she's losing. She refuses to believe she's weak. Nicola bluntly points out that she just lost to someone using only one finger. He then apologizes and says he'll start fighting seriously now, inviting her to attack again. As his opponent rushes in again, she is easily defeated. Nicola easily deflects her attack with a slap. He uses the moment as a teaching opportunity for Alice, explaining that his opponent is setting a terrible example. He points out that a standalone uppercut should be incorporated into a combination of punches to prevent the opponent from reading the move. The defeated woman breaks down in tears. Nicola is unmoved, saying he hasn't done anything worth crying over. She sobs that she can't lose because the fate of humanity rests on her shoulders, that he tells her that such a burden is too heavy for one person to carry, and that she needs to face reality. He calls the fight boring before walking away. Before leaving completely, Nicola grabs the woman in a grappling hold to demonstrate another technique for Alice, that he explains that grappling involves locks as well as throws, a concept Alice connects to the move he used against Iris. He releases the woman, saying there are too many techniques to discuss now. He promises to show her more another day. Brushing his hands off, Nicola calls the match a letdown. He tells Alice it's time to go back. In the viewing room, the spectators are in stunned silence that as Nicola and Alice depart, the crowd murmurs in disbelief that the hero has lost. The hero, the kingdom's strongest warrior, has been defeated by a martial artist from the Republic of Shanhua. The news has shaken the foundations of the Sei's kingdom, making its population restless. In the capital city of Sei's town, the whispers of the hero's defeat are on everyone's lips. Tavern patrons discuss the identity of the person who defeated the hero, confirming it was a martial artist from Shanhua. Another patron scoffs at the rumor and calls out to the former hero. The man Jay tersely tells him not to use that title, but a friend offers to buy him a drink to cheer him up. The friend encourages him to drink like a proper adventurer. Jay angrily retorts that he is a hero, not an adventurer. His friend casually tells him he can call himself anything he wants. Frustrated, Jay thinks about how his party hasn't been able to function properly since Nicola left, wishing Mary and Jessica were still with him. His friend brings up the news that the real hero was beaten. Jay finds this impossible, claiming the current hero is on a whole other level. Upon hearing the term martial artist, Jay's expression changes as he spots a familiar figure in a reflection. Jay asks if cowardly tactics were involved, but his friend clarifies that the martial artist supposedly defeated the hero using only a single finger. Jay mutters that it couldn't have been Nicola. His friend confirms that the martial artist's name was indeed Nicola. Impressed by Jay's connections, his friend gives him a hearty pat on the back. Jay is stunned, wondering if Nicola became stronger after he expelled him from the group. He sees this as his chance to regain his title as the hero by recruiting Nicola back into his party. His friend asks where he's going as he abruptly stands. Jay declares his destination is Shanawa. Filled with renewed purpose, Jay declares that fortune has never stopped smiling on him. He calls out to his dear friend as he departs. The scene shifts to the Demon Lord domain. An official in the Demon Lord domain reports that the hero from SES has been defeated. He asks for the opinion of a human in the room. The woman, Mary, is addressed by name. Mary nervously claims the opinion of a lowly being like herself doesn't matter. The official remarks on her strange behavior, reminding her that she was once a member of the hero's party and a powerful magic user. Mary quickly backtracks, saying she was mistaken and now realizes humans stand no chance. The official recalls that a martial artist was the one who defeated the hero. He remembers the martial artist's name was Nicola. Tears well up in Mary's eyes as she expresses relief that Nicola is still alive. Mary explains that she fell in love with Jay, but he had many lovers and no time for her. After leaving the group, she was captured by an official of the Demon Lord's army. She says the continuous beatings opened her eyes and made her understand her master's actions. Overcome with emotion, she cries that she wants to apologize for only realizing the truth now. The official asks if she would like to go meet him, that he explains that Nicola is in Shanawa and that they want to recruit him into their army. He tasks Mary with scouting Nicola, promising that if she succeeds, they will both be granted the title of Marquis. The official warns her that they will place a curse on her that will kill her if she tries to escape, that he promises that if she succeeds, the two of them can live happily. Mary accepts the task. The scene shifts to the border between the Republic of Shanawa and the Demon Lord domain. Guard announces to prisoner Nowhere 16 that she has a visitor. The prisoner is surprised to hear she has a visitor. She asks who came to see her, and the guard replies that it's one of their army's generals. She wonders what a general could possibly want from her. The general introduces himself as Risewood and confirms her identity as Jessica, a former member of the hero's party. Jessica confirms that she is. Risewood states he's a busy man and asks if she knows someone named Nicola. Jessica reacts to hearing Nicola's name. Jessica explains that after Nicola was kicked out and Jay was defeated, their group couldn't function, and she left due to Jay's constant affairs that on her way to SES, she unknowingly crossed a border and killed a demo-human from an allied nation. To avoid ruining diplomatic relations, the kingdom ordered her to turn herself in. Unable to cover the bail, she had no choice but to wait for her sentence to end. Jessica asks what Nicola did. She confirms that they grew up together as childhood friends and were in the same party. Worried, she asks if he committed a crime. Risewood reveals that Nicola defeated the hero in a fair match, stunning Jessica. Risewood clarifies that Nicola defeated the hero using only one finger and has been taking money from local bandits. He continues, explaining that Nicola has been giving that money to a particular house, which Jessica thinks sounds like something he would do. Risewood reveals he's talking about her mother's house, shocking Jessica. He explains that her unemployed mother and younger sister live there alone, in an impoverished state. Risewood tells her that her family had no income after she was jailed, and were starving until Nicola began giving them money. Jessica calls him a liar, but Risewood confirms they've traced the money. He explains this as why he came to speak with her. Jessica realizes she did something terrible to Nicola back then. She admits that because she was in love with Jay, she thought everything he did was correct. She remembers how mesmerizing Jay seemed when he fought, but after losing his power, he became a scumbag who only chased skirts. She admits that she's only now realizing that kicking Nicola out was the wrong decision. Through her tears, she begs Risewood to tell Nicola she's sorry if he sees him. Risewood refuses, telling her she should apologize to him personally. Jessica points out that she's a prisoner now. He tells her that's why he's there to give her an opportunity. They'll free her if she can get Nicola on their side. Jessica asks if they want him to join the army. Risewood explains that while that would be good, all they need is for him to stay in their country because the state needs more power. Jessica questions why the country's armed forces can't handle it, but Risewood explains an army falls apart if powerful individuals defeat its commanders. He points out that the Demon Lord domain has the Demon Lord, and the Sei's kingdom has the hero, that he explains that their country needs its own deterrent force as well. Jessica understands that they need Nicola to maintain the peace. With newfound resolve, Jessica agrees to do it. Jessica says she is sure that Nicola also prefers to live in peace. She adds that since he hates attention, the state should prevent the news of his victory from spreading too much, which Risewood agrees to. She asks to be taken to Nikolai, vowing to convince him. Risewood warns her not to disappoint them. The scene changes to Sattler's house in the Republic of Shanoa. Nicola announces that it's time to move on to the second part of Alice's training. Alice asks what it will be about. He explains that they're moving from hand-to-hand combat to a more pragmatic approach. Alice wonders if she is going to have to punch people. Nicola explains they will be going into a dungeon to test her techniques against monsters, but Alice notes she isn't a registered adventurer. He tells her he already registered her as his agent via proxy. He reflects that becoming a teacher has earned him a lot of trust, which he couldn't have managed while unemployed that is they walk. He asks if she has any idea what a dungeon is like, and she replies that she's only read about them in books. Dungeons are mysterious places where adventurers brave challenges and fight monsters to claim treasure. There are many types of dungeons that spawn various monsters. Nicola explains that this is a private dungeon, containing only skeleton warriors. They arrive at their destination. Alice notes the lack of other adventurers, and Nicola confirms it's private property. She admits that this is her first time adventuring into a dungeon. Nicola tells her not to be nervous, as it's an E-rank dungeon for newbies. Alice feels a little reassured that a skeleton warrior materializes in the hallway before them. Nicola calmly tells her that the skeleton warrior is her opponent. Alice asks if monsters use Kai, and Nicola confirms that humanoid ones do, explaining this one is about as strong as her. When she asks if she can defeat it, Nicola tells her that skeleton warriors move in slow, predictable patterns. He tells her nothing will happen if she just stands there doubting herself. Determined, Alice rushes towards the skeleton warrior. The skeleton warrior swings its bony arm. Alice dodges the attack and prepares to counter. She lands a solid punch on its skull as a second, powerful blow completely shatters the skeleton. Alice proudly proclaims her victory, and Nicola notes that she certainly beat it up without hesitating. She cheekily explains that it was easy because she pictured the skeleton was him. Nicola looks disturbed, admitting that she scares him sometimes. He says what matters is that she can now throw punches without thinking twice, and Alice eagerly agrees to take on the next one. Alice is surprised to feel that her Kai has increased. Nicola explains that defeating monsters increases your Kai. He tells her this is common knowledge among adventurers, much to her surprise. He clarifies that since her Kai is so poor, it might seem like a hidden trick, which ruins her illusion. They proceed to the second floor. Alice continues to defeat skeletons as they move to the third floor. They reach the last floor, and Alice remarks that it was easier than she thought. Nicola warns her not to lower her guard, as a strong opponent appears on this floor. He explains that the skeleton captain has 3 times the Kai of a warrior, and the orc shield face has 10 times the Kai of a skeleton captain. Alice realizes that if she struggles here, she has no chance of victory in her match that a crowned skeleton emerges from the darkness. Alice asks if it's the skeleton captain, but Nicola says no. He identifies it as a skeleton general, a higher-ranked monster rarely seen outside of D-ranked dungeons, that he wonders why it's here, and concludes that it must have evolved. Nicola explains that just as defeating monsters increases a person's Kai, the same applies to the monsters themselves. When they reach a certain Kai level, they evolve and their rank increases, though this is a rare phenomenon. Alice thinks it's like a miracle, but Nicola explains that it's difficult for them to win consistently. He suspects there's a possibility someone made the skeleton evolve artificially. He tells Alice the skeleton has about 5 times her Kai, but is still weaker than the orc, prompting her to ask if she should defeat it. Nicola tells her that to defeat the orc, she must be able to defeat the skeleton general first. Alice agrees and tells him to observe her. She confidently challenges the skeleton general to a fight. Nicola notes the creature's formidable Kai. He tells Alice he trusts she knows how to handle the fight, and she confirms she does. Alice dashes into battle. Nicola instructs Alice to focus on evading the skeleton's swift attacks. Alice confidently retorts that she understands and doesn't need to be told twice. She clenches her fist in determination. Nicola observes that a purely defensive strategy won't work. He analyzes that the skeleton general has significantly more Kai, making its attacks much faster than what Alice can handle. The realization of the speed difference shocks Alice. The skeleton's speed proves too much, and it lands a devastating blow on Alice's arm. Nicola catches her as she collapses from the direct hit. She tells him her arm is completely broken. Though Alice tries to power through the pain, Nicola insists on healing her broken arm with magic. He warns her that the pain will be excruciating once the adrenaline wears off. After mending it, he asks if the pain is gone, and she declares she won't back down. Nicola tells her to go take down the skeleton general. She rushes back to face the skeleton general for revenge. Alice relentlessly attacks the skeleton. She pants from exertion but continues fighting. Watching her, Nicola determines that she has met the minimum requirement. He decides it's time for him to end the battle. Nicola tells a hesitant Alice to stand back. He tells her she has done enough and should move aside. He prepares to demonstrate how proper tactics can overcome an opponent 5 times stronger. Nicola delivers a powerful kick to the skeleton's head. A stunned Alice looks on. He explains that concentrating Kai into a focused attack can boost its power enough to damage even stronger foes, that he explains that to defeat an agile opponent, one must limit their options by lowering their mobility. By breaking one of the skeleton's limbs, he has reduced its potential attack sources. This makes it easier to predict and counter. Nicola declares it's time to end the fight. With a decisive blow, Nicola shatters the skeleton general's skull. Alice is amazed by his strength, but he reminds her not to be too impressed, as she must be able to defeat a much stronger opponent soon. Alice expresses surprise at Nicola's healing magic and asks if he's good at magic too. He explains that magic is a versatile skill, capable of everything from offense to disguise. Alice wonders about magic's flexibility. As he offers to give an example, they hear someone approaching. The approaching figure is the principal, Nicola's sister. Alice wonders what she is doing there, and Nicola guesses she is there for training. Nicola sees a perfect opportunity to demonstrate the utility of shape-shifting magic. Alice is impressed by Nicola's transformation. She admits she can't tell him apart from the real one. He explains the transformation is purely cosmetic. He then reveals his plan to play a little prank on his sister. The principal is startled to see her own double approaching. Confused and alarmed, she questions how it's possible. The figure reverts back to Nicola. Relieved, she chides him for the scare. Nicola questions his sister's presence, noting she cleared this dungeon years ago, and calling her by a childhood nickname, Nico. She brushes off the nickname and asks why he's here, that he introduces his disciple, Princess Alice, whom the principal recognizes. The principal grasps that he is training Alice against monsters, but questions the technique's practicality against people. She suggests he find some justifiable targets for Alice to practice on. She delegates her duty of handling bandits to him. With that, she takes her leave. Following the lead, Nicola and Alice arrive at a secluded house. Nicola calls out. A man appears, warmly greeting him as Master Nicola. Alice nervously asks if the man is a bandit, and Nicola confirms he used to be one. That the reformed bandit explains that he had a change of heart after Nicola destroyed his hideout. He now sells information on his former associates. Nicola asks for intel on any particularly evil groups. The man readily offers information on slavers. Hearing that the slavers deal in elven slaves piques Alice's interest. Nicola asks for their location, and the man states the price is 5 gold coins. Nicola pays for the information. The informant reveals the slavers operate out of a coastal region. Arriving at the bandits' hideout, Nicola notes it's a group of about 10 strong bandits. Nicola reminds Alice that this is her chance to gain real combat experience. He tells her the first point is to always go for larks and grabs. The second is to break their bones or dislocate a joint once she has a hold, that he explains that grappling is the most effective way to disable a stronger foe. Alice agrees to the strategy. They enter the hideout through a back door. They begin searching for the bandits. Drawing on his experience, Nicola easily locates a hidden entrance. He reveals a trap door. They descend into the basement. They surprise the bandits and their elven captives. Alice is enraged to see both elves and dark elves being held captive, declaring them her countrymen. Nicola instructs Alice to fight one of the bandits. A bandit charges at them. In a flash, Nicola incapacitates the other bandits. Alice watches in stunned silence. He then turns to her and confirms that only her opponent remains. The last bandit proposes a deal that he fights Alice, and if he wins he goes free. Nicola accepts the terms. The bandit warns Alice to keep her word. The man confidently points out he is 3 times her Kai and suggests she surrender. Alice seizes his arm. Without hesitation, Alice snaps the bandit's arm, but he screams in pain. Enraged, he calls her a bastard. She easily fends off his pained attempt to retaliate with a swift kick. Nicola commends Alice for her decisiveness while she is surprised by her own mercilessness. Nicola tells her not to overthink it, as he frees the captives. Alice approaches one of the captives to check on them. The dark elf recognizes her as the high elf princess. The dark elf vehemently rejects her help, declaring he'd rather die. He furiously blames the high elves for their people's suffering, accusing them of stealing their land, that he vows that the dark elves will never forgive them and will one day reclaim their territory. The elf continues his tirade, boasting about his chieftain. He sneers that a weak princess like her could never restore their country's glory. Alice dejectedly agrees with him. Nicola intervenes, striking the elf. He asks if the elf would rather be left behind to rot. Nicola coldly threatens to sell the ungrateful elf himself. The elf is terrified by the threat. Nicola kicks one of the bandits, stating he doesn't make idle threats. Alice steps in, telling her teacher that's enough, and insisting she isn't upset. Nicola believes the ungrateful elf needs to be taught a lesson. The elf reiterates that high elves were involved in their enslavement. Alice doesn't deny it, explaining that this history is exactly why she is determined to help. She remains resolute, declaring she will save them for her own reasons, regardless of his opinion. The elf scoffs at her, claiming she only won her fight due to luck. With unwavering determination, Alice vows to become stronger and save her country. Later, as the sun sets over the ocean, she asks Nicola for a break from their training. Nicola agrees to the break, confident he has taught her the basics, and asks her plans. Alice declares her plan to grow stronger on her own and return before the tournament. She contacts her father. She requests access to dungeons inhabited by skeleton generals. After defeating another skeleton, a determined Alice catches her breath. She resolves to become stronger and walks purposefully down a long dungeon corridor. Since parting with Nicola, Alice traveled alone, conquering many dungeons. She often had to camp within them. Weeks later, her journey continues. Her journey leads her to face a new foe, a formidable skeleton general that rattles towards her. Recognizing the creature as her nemesis, Alice springs into action. She dodges its attack and lands a powerful blow, shattering the skeleton's defenses. She proudly announces that this is the 100th skeleton general she has defeated. She punctuates her victory with a final decisive kick that sends its skull flying. Despite her victory, Alice feels it's still not enough. Having reached the dungeon's lowest floor, she hears a noise. She turns to see another adventurer fighting skeletons. Alice wonders who it could be. A skilled swordswoman effortlessly cuts through the skeletal monsters. Watching her fight, Alice determines that the mysterious warrior doesn't seem to need any help. Just then, Alice spots a skeleton sneaking up on the swordswoman and shouts a warning. The warrior reacts instantly, dispatching the threat. Alice approaches, relieved that it was a close call. She thanks the woman who saved her in turn and asks for her name. Alice in turn introduces herself as a rookie adventurer. The swordswoman introduces herself as Jessica, feeling indebted to Alice. She brushes off the danger, calling the monsters cowards. When Jessica zones out, Alice asks if something is wrong. Jessica dismisses it and asks why Alice is in the dungeon, to which Alice explains she's training to get stronger. Jessica admits that training is also one of her objectives. Impressed, Alice compliments her swordsmanship. She compares it to the legendary Jessica from the Say's Kingdom. A flustered Jessica denies this, claiming to be someone else. To show her gratitude, Alice insists on treating Jessica to a meal at her mother's nearby house, despite Jessica's initial reluctance. Jessica eventually agrees. Alice leads her to a small house. She boasts about her mother's delicious cooking. Alice tells Jessica to wait outside for a moment, while she goes in to speak with her mother. She enters, announcing her return. Inside, Jessica's mother is stunned to see her. They share a tearful reunion, with her mother asking where she's been all this time. She asks about her younger sister, Maria, and learns she's away at school in the capital. Before she can feel too disappointed, Jessica remembers the souvenir she brought. Her mother refuses the gift. She explains that life is better now. Jessica asks if things were difficult in her absence. Her mother gravely confirms it was hell. They had no food or medicine, and she and Maria were on the brink of desperation. But just as they were about to lose all hope, a savior came to their aid. Jessica is stunned to hear Nicola's name. The mother reveals that their savior was Nicola. Her mother explains that he not only provided them with money to live on, but also enough for Maria to attend school in the capital. With a heavy heart, Jessica asks a chilling question. Would her mother be angry if she confessed to trying to kill Nicola? Her mother reacts with fury, grabbing Jessica and demanding an explanation. As Jessica begins to recount what happened, her mother listens. Her mother's anger turns to horrified disbelief, unable to comprehend how her daughter could do such a thing. Her mother angrily calls her an ungrateful wretch. Deeply regretting her actions, Jessica admits she had no idea about Nicola's support. Her mother reveals that Nicola's help began long ago. When they were children and she was forced to beg, she struggled to provide. A young Nicola offered her a job to keep them from suffering. The mother confesses that without his help, she would have been forced to sell Jessica as a slave, a revelation that leaves Jessica utterly shocked. The mother reveals that everything Jessica had, including her swordsmanship training, was thanks to Nicola, who kept his support a secret. Jessica protests, believing her potential earned her the training. Her mother dismisses it as a lie, declaring she won't have an ungrateful daughter. She throws Jessica out of the house. Alice watches in shock. The door is thrown open as Jessica is cast out. Her mother screams that she wishes she had sold her as a slave. The door slams shut. A concerned Alice rushes to Jessica's side asking what happened. As Jessica walks away in a daze, Alice follows. She offers words of comfort. Jessica breaks down, weeping that she has lost everything: her home, family, friends, and pride. Overwhelmed by regret, she questions her foolishness. Alice offers her comfort. On the day of the tournament, Alice meets with Nicola. He greets her. Nicola remarks that she has changed significantly in a short amount of time. They sit down to talk about her training. Alice proudly announces she defeated 100 skeleton generals. Nicola acknowledges how hard it must have been. Alice admits it was tough, recalling how she had to eat monsters for food, and how difficult the skeletons were at first. She even mentions learning to boil them well. Though it was a difficult journey, Alice beams with pride, stating she became stronger and can now hold her head high. She also mentions making a new friend she'll introduce to him later. Nicola reminds her that her match is scheduled for that evening. Nicola has gathered intelligence on Alice's opponent. He explains that the orc is far more muscular. She also possesses 5 times her Kai. Alice worries she has no chance. Nicola assures her she can win by using her Kai, dodges, and hand-to-hand combat effectively. He then asks if she believes she can defeat her opponent. Filled with newfound confidence from her training, Alice declares she will beat the orc. Nicola is pleased with her spirit. He warns her not to lower her guard against a sentient opponent, that he points out that she must ensure none of her punches connect. Recalling that the orc left a crater in the arena during her last match, Alice believes the information will be useful. Nicola notes she has adopted the mindset of a cowardly martial artist. She retorts that she learned from the best. With the Colosseum in sight, Alice vows to defeat the orc. In the stands, some of Alice's classmates doubt she can win. Her classmates from the 9th class have come to cheer her on. Alice explains that her bodyguard Iris couldn't refuse her whims. Meanwhile, the 1st class is also present, cheering for the orc. Alice mentions that the 1st class is going on a school trip, and their treatment there depends on the match's outcome. Nicola deduces that the orc can't afford to lose her luxurious lifestyle. With the plan set, he sends Alice into the arena. She is met with the roar of the crowd. Alice faces her opponent in the center of the arena. The orc taunts her, saying she hasn't changed in 3 months. Alice internally notes that her plan to suppress her Kai is working. When the orc asks where her cowardly teacher is, Alice simply replies that he's running late. The orc's teacher scoffs, vowing to make Nicola apologize after his student wins. The orc asks the principal to begin the match. From a viewing box, Jessica, now acting as a secretary, prepares to explain the rules. She announces that the match ends on surrender or incapacitation and magic or weapons are allowed. Alice readies herself. She faces the orc's confident grin. As the signal is given, the fight begins. The match begins with Alice giving the signal to start. The orc rushes forward with incredible speed. She stops before Alice, her powerful Kai flaring around her, that a confident smirk plays on the orc's lips. The orc marks Alice, asking if she's too scared to move. She threatens to inflict a level of pain beyond comprehension. Alice retorts coolly, asking if the orc can truly afford such confidence. The orc questions Alice's strange comment. Alice points, telling her opponent to look behind her. The orc scoffs, refusing to fall for what she assumes is a cowardly technique. Suddenly, she feels a shudder as Nicola makes his presence known from the arena entrance. The orc turns around in shock. Nicola stares intently from the entrance. Alice capitalizes on the distraction, telling the orc she shouldn't have given her back to an opponent. The orc is caught completely off guard. Alice strikes the orc's arm with a precise chop. She uses the opening to throw the larger fighter to the ground. The crowd chatters in surprise at the turn of events. The orc curses Alice under her breath. Clutching her now injured arm, she yells that Alice is a coward and should be ashamed of her cheap tricks. Alice explains that as a disciple of her teacher, she is not afraid to fight dirty. She adds that the trick only worked because the orc let her guard down. The orc fumes, realizing Nicola's late arrival was a deliberate ploy to make her turn around. From the sidelines, Nicola asks Alice to remind him what the orc's teacher had said. Nicola recalls the teacher's boast about making him apologize if Alice lost. The orc defiantly asks what he's getting at. Nicola declares that when the orc loses, she will be the one to apologize to all the students she bullied. The orc stares in shocked silence. The crowd erupts, cheering for the princess and demanding the orc apologize. The orc roars that she will kill Alice. Nicola taunts her further, asking why she does not try one of her punches that can supposedly open craters in the ground. The orc accepts the challenge and powers up her Kai. However, Alice responds in kind, unleashing her own aura. The orc is stunned, wondering since when Alice's Kai had become so strong. The orc accuses Alice of tricking her by pretending to be weak 3 months ago. Alice admits that she was indeed weak back then, and the pressure from the orc's Kai would have been enough to defeat her. She declares that she is now Alice, the martial artist, no longer a weak princess that needs to be protected. The orc grits her teeth in fury. She screams coward and charges at Alice. Alice easily dodges the reckless attack. The orc is shocked by her speed. Alice lands another blow on her opponent. The orc realizes she is in trouble. Alice's movements are fluid and unpredictable. She follows up with a well-placed kick. Panting, the orc wonders why none of her hits are connecting. Nicola taunts her, asking what happened to her famous crater-forming punches. Enraged, the orc yells at him to shut up and attacks again. The orc throws a wild punch. Alice prepares to counter. She slips past the attack and lands a powerful blow to the orc's face. The orc stumbles back from the force of the punch. Her legs tremble from the accumulated damage. She wonders aloud why she cannot beat her. Alice explains that the reason is simple. She knows the orc can only throw punches. The orc is taken aback by this statement. She insists that she merely decided not to use kicks this time. Alice reveals she studied the orc's previous matches with a crystal ball and put her under control to not use any. She points out that none of the orc's victories involved a single kick. The orc tries to object, but Alice cuts her off with a simple no. Alice states plainly that kicks are not the orc's forte, despite how powerful they might be with her Kai. She explains that Nicola's taunting was meant to provoke the orc into using her best techniques. The orc begins to understand the trap she fell into. Alice concludes that they controlled her by giving 2 options. Using kicks which she is bad at or punches which she excels at. She chose punches. The orc is stunned by the revelation. Alice explains that even with only punches, the orc would have been too fast with both arms, so they had to overcome that hurdle. The orc laments that victory would have been hers if she had not been careless. Her injured arm throbs, a painful reminder of her mistake. Defeated, The orc kneels and surrenders, admitting Alice has won. The crowd cheers as Alice is announced as the winner. The scene shifts to the town of Shanawa. Nicola waits, noting that Alice is late. He wonders how he ended up visiting the market on a weekend, that a flashback shows Alice asking for a reward for winning the match. When he assumes she wants money, she clarifies that she wants him to hang out with her in town. Nicola observes that there are a lot of couples around. Alice finally arrives, calling out to her teacher and apologizing for being late. He chides her for having the audacity to make her teacher wait, and she explains that Iris took a while to do her hair. Alice proudly shows off her new hairstyle, asking if it is a good disguise. Nicola bluntly replies that one would have to be pretty dumb not to see through it. He suggests she learns shape-shifting magic instead of wasting time with disguises. Alice explains she dislikes that field of magic, as she thinks it would be rude to change the body her parents gave her. Nicola tells her she will not become stronger with that mindset. Nicola concedes her point, saying it is alright in that case. He suggests they get going, and asks if she has decided where they are headed. Alice excitedly confirms that she has, and that it is a place she thinks he will enjoy. He asks if it is a bandit hideout, but she says she is not telling him yet. They walk through the bustling streets filled with people. A couple of onlookers comment that Nicola looks handsome and strong, but that it is a shame the girl is so scrawny. Others whisper, wondering if he is after the elf's money, which darkens Alice's mood. Nicola tries to reassure her not to mind them, but Alice tells him he is making things worse. Alice drags Nicola along while she shops for clothes. He is relegated to holding her bags once she is done. She announces that it is time for the main event. She leads him down a narrow alleyway, and he asks if there is something up ahead. Alice smirks mysteriously. They emerge into a cheering crowd, and she reveals this is where she wanted to bring him, a wrestling event with betting. Nicola and Alice find themselves in a large crowd gathered for a wrestling event. The prize for the tournament is a rare grimoire from an eastern land. The crowd murmurs about the tempting prize and the 1 gold piece participation fee. The masked woman, Rise, is introduced as the reigning champion with 98 consecutive wins. Nicola wonders about her strength, but Alice informs him of specific rules for the event. She explains that Kai output is standardized and punches to the face are forbidden to prevent injuries. Rise's opponent charges at her, but she easily blocks his punch. The man grows frustrated by his inability to land a hit. He attempts a spinning kick, which Rise effortlessly dodges. Alice explains to a curious Nicola that she brought him here specifically to see Rise's technique. She believes that observing Rise's skills could be beneficial for them. Rise continues to effortlessly dodge her opponent's attacks. The man wonders in frustration what is wrong with this woman, that he complains that none of his hits are connecting. Rise gives a confident smirk. She closes in and grabs her opponent's hands, surprising him. Rise swiftly swings her opponent around. The man cries out in pain and quickly surrenders. Alice points out that Rise's technique is similar to one Nicola taught her. Nicola agrees, pondering where she could have learned it. Nicola decides that Alice should sign up for the event, much to her surprise. He tells her that fighting a good opponent is a great learning opportunity. Determined, Alice agrees and makes her way through the crowd. She steps into the ring, coming face to face with the champion Rise. Alice politely bows and proposes a nice, clean fight, but Rise's reaction surprises her. With immense excitement, Rise declares that she finally gets to fight another woman. She explains that she had wished for her 100th opponent to be a woman. Alice is taken aback by her opponent's sheer happiness. Rise clarifies that she is not just happy but delighted. She addresses the silent crowd, complaining that up until now she has only fought men. Rise poetically states that the best fights are when 2 women exchange punches like love letters, to which a flustered Alice agrees. Eager to start, Rise decides not to waste any more time. She announces that she will make the first move. Rise lunges forward with a powerful kick. Alice meets Rise's kick with one of her own, blocking the attack. Rise is shocked by the force of the block that Alice's follow-up attack causes Rise to stagger backward. Alice lends a solid punch to Rise's side. Having regained her footing, Rise asks if Alice is a martial artist. Alice nonchalantly asks what gave it away. Rise compliments her superb defense and counterattack, stating they were the moves of a true martial artist, not an amateur. Watching from the sidelines, Nicola smirks, thinking the match will be fun. Rise admits that while she has fought many women, nothing compares to the fun of fighting a female martial artist. Alice swallows nervously. From the crowd, Nicola advises Alice to prevent Rise from getting too close. Rise overhears and correctly deduces that her forte is larks and throws, warning that Alice is done for if she gets a hold of her. Alice understands that she needs to keep hitting her opponent without allowing her to get too close. Rise confirms Alice's strategy. The two fighters rush towards each other. Alice deflects Rise's attempts to grab her. Rise grows more determined to close the distance. However, Alice lands a well-aimed kick, pushing her opponent back. Rise complains that it's rude to only kick her arms, but in a swift move, she grabs Alice's arm. With Alice in her grasp, Rise declares that she has her now. Nicola watches worriedly, realizing Alice has been caught. Rise tells Alice that this is where the fun starts. However, she realizes the pain from Alice's earlier kicks is starting to catch up with her. Alice notices the change in her opponent. Alice takes advantage of the opening, gripping Rise's hand. She twists Rise's arm behind her back. Alice expertly reverses the hold, putting Rise on the defensive. As Rise cries out in pain, Alice suggests that she surrender instead. Rise finally surrenders, asking to be let go. The crowd erupts in cheers for Alice's victory. Catching her breath, Rise admits that Alice is strong and asks if Nicola was the one who taught her. Rise mentions her own master, who she thinks is in the Elven territory preparing for war. Alice is shocked to hear about a war in the Elven lands. Rise is surprised Alice doesn't know about the war, asking if she is not the Elven princess. Alice sadly admits that her father never tells her anything important. Rise dismisses it, saying she would have heard about it eventually. She then moves to give Alice the prize. She hands over the grimoire, hoping it will be useful. Alice and Rise shake hands, thanking each other for the good fight. The crowd applauds their sportsmanship, that I guess they walk through town. Nicola asks Alice if she still intends to be his disciple, since she already defeated the orc. Alice enthusiastically says of course, as she wants to become a woman who can stand at his side. Nicola understands that for her to achieve that, she needs to remain his disciple. The scene transitions to a peaceful beach. Watching his students, Nicola Camp believes he is finally being a proper teacher. After the tournament, the orc's apology helped alleviate the friction between the two classes. The previous teacher for the first class resigned after his pupil lost to Alice. Because of that, Nicola was forced to watch over the first class during this trip. Nicola notices that the orc has become quite popular, though on the other hand, he sees Alice. He overhears another girl teasing Alice, saying she is too skinny and needs to get bigger to attract men. Nicola decides he needs to train her harder. Alice approaches him, asking what he thinks of her new swimsuit. Nicola tells her it looks good on her. Suddenly, Iris rushes over, calling for the princess and telling her not to get close to Nicola. Alice sternly tells Iris not to be rude to their teacher. Iris apologizes for her behavior. However, she then turns to Nicola and bluntly tells him that she hates him. Despite her feelings, Iris thanks Nicola for making the princess stronger. After Iris leaves, Alice apologizes to Nicola for her bodyguard's behavior. He asks if she and Iris get along, and Alice confirms they have been best friends since they were children. Alice explains that Iris is part of the royal lineage of dark elves that were exterminated in the last Great War. She reveals that Iris is the Dark Elven Princess. Nicola recalls hearing that the Dark Elven Princess had gone missing. Alice explains that most of the Dark Elf royal lineage was executed, with only Iris' half-brother being spared. Iris' mother was one of the heads of the faction advocating for war. Because of this, Iris was supposed to be executed as well, but Alice's family stepped in, adopted her, and spread the rumor that she was missing. Nicola asks Alice if she has ever considered the possibility of Iris betraying her. Alice firmly states that she will not accept hearing that, even from him. Their conversation is interrupted by Rise, who arrives with bad news. Rise reports that they have intruders and the island is under threat. On the supposedly private island of Shano Academy, Nicola questions who would dare trespass. Rise identifies the invaders as demi-human mercenaries. Nicola wonders what their objective could be. Nicola suspects the mercenaries are after the library's valuable collection of books on military arts. When he worries about who will protect the students, Rise volunteers to guard the library. Nicola then instructs Iris to evacuate Princess Alice at once. As Rise speeds off towards the library, Nicola remains behind. He anxiously wonders if leaving the students in his sister's care was the right decision. His thoughts are interrupted by the sound of a door locking. His solitude is broken by Alice, who has brought him dinner. Starving, Nicola accepts the plate. Alice proudly presents the grilled fish she made herself. After a bite, he gives a neutral assessment, calling it just normal grilled fish. Alice explains she has been taking cooking lessons and hopes to improve, just as she did with her martial arts. Alice remarks that her own growing strength has made her realize just how powerful Nicola is, and she asks him why he sought such power. After a moment, Nicola reveals it was to overcome a trauma from his past. He explains that he was betrayed by his party. The betrayal happened because he wasn't strong enough. He explains his desire to become so strong that no one will ever betray him again. Alice reassures him, saying he's already incredibly strong, perhaps even stronger than the hero. Touched by her words, Nicola thanks her. Alice tells him to get some rest for their early start tomorrow, and wishes him good night. He smiles, realizing that being cheered up by his disciple isn't so bad. Meanwhile, in the student dormitories, some students are relaxing. They compliment the dinner prepared by the 9th class. The calm is broken when one student asks if anyone else feels something strange, while another admits he can't stop his body from trembling. Suddenly, a student shouts that someone is outside. A large, menacing man enters, impressed that his Kai didn't make them cower in fear. He coldly tells them it's time to die and to run while they still have the chance. Back at the library, Nicola is startled by a distant scream. He recalls Rise's instruction to guard the library. He realizes, with disbelief, that she chose to protect books over the students, and gets up to intervene. As he moves, the door bursts open. The intruder asks if Nicola is academy staff. Nicola asks if the man is after the books. The intruder reveals his true purpose. He has come for Nicola. The man explains his mission is to capture the elven princess, and that he's been assigned to eliminate Nicola. Nicola asks why they're after Alice. The man refuses to answer, stating he only follows orders. Nicola correctly deduces the man's overconfidence in his ability to win. The intruder boasts he's never lost. Nicola replies that coincidentally, neither has he in a one-on-one fight. To make things more interesting, Nicola proposes a handicap that he won't use any kicks. The man accepts the terms, agreeing to a fight with only fists. They close the distance for an in-fight. The intruder immediately unleashes a rapid series of punches on Nicola. To the intruder's shock, his punches have no effect. Nicola stands firm, smirking as he tells his opponent to give him his best shot. The man grunts in frustration and continues his futile assault. After weathering the attack, Nicola announces it's his turn. He clenches his fist. His opponent counters with a bizarre move, catching Nicola's fist in his mouth. The two engage in a rapid exchange of blocks and strikes. Nicola manages to push his opponent off balance. The man smirks, believing he has broken Nicola's posture. Just as the intruder thinks he has the advantage, Nicola slams his forehead into the man's face. The powerful headbutt sends the man staggering back before he collapses to his knees. Dazed, the intruder asks what happened. Nicola points to his own head, explaining his strategy. By stating he wouldn't use his legs, he manipulated his opponent into focusing only on his arms. This left him vulnerable to an attack he never anticipated. The man laughs, admitting defeat in the face of such an unexpected fighting style. Nicola tells him to leave. Meanwhile, the other intruder enters a room, commenting on its nice appearance. In their room, Iris and Alice sit together. They reminisce about their childhood. Their light-hearted conversation shifts when Iris notices Alice's clenched fist and asks if she is angry about something. Iris urges Alice to confide in her, reminding her that they are family. Just as Alice thanks her, Iris suddenly feels a chill that Alice's expression turns serious as she realizes someone with a powerful Kai is nearby. Iris asks if she is okay. Alice confirms that strong Kai doesn't affect her as much as it used to. She states they need a plan before the intruders arrive. She assesses the room and decides to go with their usual strategy. Alice announces their arrival. The intruder from the dorms bursts in, surprised to find the princess. He mutters that if the person who told him where to find her had been lying, he would have had to kill them. Alice confronts him, asking who he is talking about. The man reveals he was talking about the strongest female orc in the academy. He realizes Alice must have defeated her. Iris panics and urges surrender, but Alice tells her to be quiet. Alice calmly tells her to stay back and observe. She then asks the man what he wants. He declares his intention to take her hostage. The intruder tells her to come quietly. Alice asks what will happen if she refuses. He threatens to take her by force, but he scoffs at the idea she could fight back. He reasons that since she defeated the strongest person in the academy, she, the weakest student, stands no chance against him. Alice calmly remarks on the coincidence. She reveals that she also defeated that same person. The man reels in shock. She announces her first attack, a high kick to the head. The intruder braces himself for the telegraphed attack. Instead of aiming for his head, Alice delivers a powerful kick to his midsection. She explains that no one would be foolish enough to actually perform an attack they just announced. She asserts that her unique fighting style is the only way to beat stronger foes. Alice asserts that they are fighting for their lives. A voice from the doorway remarks that the weakest person in the academy managed to defeat her opponent. Startled, Alice demands to know who is there. A man with long black hair enters, complimenting her skill despite her apparent lack of strength. Alice is immediately wary, sensing his Kai is far greater than even her teacher's. The intruder warns Alice that he is on a level where her petty tactics will be useless. A wave of fear washes over her as she recognizes the overwhelming power difference. She quickly tells Iris to escape while she buys time. The man smirks, telling Alice it's useless as Iris won't be going anywhere. He reveals that Iris has sided with them. To Alice's shock, Iris looks away and apologizes to the princess that I am disbelief. Alice pleads with Iris, hoping it's a lie. The intruder tells her to give up and come with them. Iris desperately begs the princess to give up, certain she cannot win. However, Alice remains resolute, declaring that her teacher taught her never to surrender. The man applauds her spirit. He then cruelly asks what she would do if he decided to break Iris's limbs, that he explains that it doesn't matter because he knows Alice still sees Iris as a friend. Cornered and pained by the threat, Alice reluctantly agrees to go with him. A voice apologizes for being late. Nicola has arrived. Alice cries out to her teacher in relief. The long-haired intruder is stunned, wondering how Nicola dealt with his accomplice. Nicola glares, angered that the man made his pupil cry. He confirms that Nicola must be the princess's instructor. Without wasting a moment, Nicola charges that he engages the intruder in a fierce exchange of blows. The man is impressed, admitting Nicola might be a worthy rival. Nicola coldly refutes this, stating he is hundreds of times stronger. The intruder prepares for a spear hand strike. Nicola asks if he is adept at the technique. The intruder boasts that he has never encountered anyone on his level. Nicola prepares his own move. Nicola throws a plate as a distraction. The intruder dismisses it as a cheap trick. Using the momentary opening, Nicola crashes his fist into the man's head. He follows up with a powerful body blow. As the girls watch in shock, the intruder clutches his side, realizing his organs have been ruptured. However, Nicola also winces in pain, seemingly injured himself. Believing Nicola is incapacitated, the intruder turns his attention back to the princess. To his utter shock, Nicola springs back into action, delivering a powerful kick. The intruder reacts in disbelief. He is sent flying across the room. The intruder can't believe Nicola can still move with such injuries. Pinning him down, Nicola reveals it was a ruse. He used magic. He explains that faking injuries is child's play. Though defeated, the intruder defiantly claims he can still fight. The intruder dares him to try, but Nicola calmly informs him that his arms and legs are restricted. He adds that his own arms are free to punch. With the threat neutralized, he turns to Iris and tells her she has some explaining to do. When Iris says nothing, Nicola speculates that her betrayal is revenge. Iris cries out that she doesn't resent the princess. Nicola presses her, asking why she would cooperate with invaders. He then tries to provoke her by telling Alice that this proves even a lifelong friend can be a traitor. Alice stops him, telling Iris she is like family and pleading for her to be honest. She promises that no matter the reason, she will never resent her. Moved by Alice's words, Iris breaks down, apologizing as she embraces the princess. Iris explains that everything she did was for the princess's sake. She reveals that she accepted a job from someone she trusts, though she wasn't told the full details. Her mission was to support the invaders and deliver the princess to a certain person. Nicola demands to know who. The person, Iris reveals, is the invader's boss. When Nicola questions if this boss is stronger than him, Iris warns him not to be careless. She claims this person is stronger than any other staff member at the academy. Nicola then asks for the boss's identity. As Iris hesitates, the scene shifts to an opulent office. A woman with long, dark hair sits at a desk, her expression unreadable as she contemplates the events unfolding. The mastermind behind the attack congratulates her subordinate for a job well done. As the man places Alice on her desk, she senses something is amiss. The forms of both the man and Alice begin to dissolve. She realizes with a start that she has been fooled by shape-shifting magic. Suddenly Nicola bursts in, kicking the disguised man away. Stumbling back, she admits she's impressed that he confronts his sister, stating that all the clues pointed to her being the mastermind behind the entire incident. Nicola's sister asks if he suspected her from the beginning. He admits he didn't, explaining that his doubts only started when he heard the students screaming from the library, that he was certain she wouldn't be defeated by those men. Smiling, she remarks that her little brother never disappoints. Nicola demands to know why she did it. She tells him he'll have to beat her first to get an answer. As they trade blows, she questions why his Kai is so low. She dismisses it as a useless trick to lower her guard. The illusion of Alice and her friend finally dissipates. His sister is startled, frantically wondering where the real Nicola is. He suddenly appears behind her, declaring it's too late as he lands a decisive strike. After being punted away, Nicola's sister is defeated. She calls him a coward, but he calmly agrees, adding that his cowardice is what got him kicked out of the hero's party. She painfully admits that his cheap tricks have bested her. Nicola tells his sister she isn't speaking the truth, that he states she should have been able to tell what was happening. She questions how she was supposed to believe a novice was using shape-shifting magic right in front of her. He retorts that even if the appearance was copied, mimicking his mannerisms and movements is no easy feat. She muses on the difference between a disciple and their mentor, remarking that it's what makes martial arts interesting. Nicola offers to heal her in exchange for a full explanation of her actions. His sister agrees to tell him everything and instructs Nicola to heal the unconscious man as well. Nicola is surprised, asking if he isn't just a mercenary. She reveals that all the men involved are part of the academy staff. The revelation shocks both Nicola and Alice. She begins her explanation, stating the entire operation was preparation for the war for the throne. Nicola recalls hearing rumors about a war in the Elven lands. His sister clarifies that it began as an internal conflict between high elves and dark elves, but everything changed when the Elven king stepped down. Alice is shocked to hear that her father stepped down, exclaiming she was never told. The vice principal apologizes, explaining she was instructed to keep it a secret from Princess Alice. Nicola then asks who the new king is. She reveals the war is actually a tournament, where the champion will be crowned the new ruler. When Nicola asks how the raid was connected, his sister explains her objective was to make the princess stronger. This was all to ensure Alice would become the next ruler. Alice is stunned to hear she's meant to be crowned queen. Nicola then questions why the other students were involved, and his sister replies it was a good opportunity for them to gain real combat experience. Incidentally, she reveals she was also responsible for the skeleton general in the dungeon. Nicola recalls her agitated state when he met her there. However, she feigns ignorance about their meeting. Dismissing it, she says that with everything cleared up, she has something to give him. She hands Nicola a document. He finds it as a termination letter from the academy citing poor performance. She clarifies that there's a reason for this. Due to a deep bond between Shanner Academy and the Elf Kingdom, they cannot directly offer aid to Princess Alice on political matters. Therefore, she tasks Nicola with supporting Alice. His mission is to help her emerge victorious in the tournament. She commands them both to see this task through and ensure peace remains in the Elf Kingdom. Their journey to the kingdom begins. The Elf Kingdom is a small nation bordering larger domains, subsisting on hunting and trade. Militarily weak, it could be easily overtaken. A revolution initiated by the Dark Elves prompted the High Elf King to step down from his position, and so a tournament was organized to decide the next king. The group arrives in the capital of the Elf Kingdom. They remark on how they were able to borrow a military teleportation circle. Alice observes that she's seeing more dark elves than before and wonders what is happening inside the castle. She worries about her father. The group approaches the castle, but finds the gates are heavily guarded. Nicola notes that they can't sneak their way in. They whisper about whether to break in by force. A masked woman named Rise appears before them. Rise greets the elven princess. Rise explains that she's there to provide moral support for her master, who is participating in the tournament. Alice explains her situation. She has been unable to contact her father and has no way to enter the castle. Rise confidently states that she knows where her family is. Alice eagerly asks Rise to tell her where they are. Rise notes that Alice doesn't doubt her at all. The princess explains that since they've fought before, she knows what kind of person Rise is. Pleased, Rise tells them to follow her. She leads them to a gazebo that as they approach, a man calls out to Alice. It's her father. Overjoyed, Alice dashes forward and embraces him in a heartfelt reunion. Alice cries with relief, glad that her father is safe. He apologizes for making her worry. She asks why he kept her in the dark about everything, but he explains that in order for her to win the tournament, it was better for her to spend less time worrying about him. She then asks the most pressing question, why he gave up his right to the throne. The king explains that he resigned to save the lives of his citizens and stop the infighting. However, the situation is not so simple, as the leader of the Dark Elves, Colm, is a supremacist. He confesses that he truly wanted a peaceful life for Alice. His ultimate wish is for a country where no discrimination exists, but he tells Alice that to achieve such a nation, the key is for its leader to love its citizens, and he is sure she will be a great ruler. He encourages her to win the war for the throne. Iris volunteers to stay and protect the king. She is confident in her strength and believes that as a dark elf, she might be able to reason with any potential assassins. Alice asks if Iris is sure, and Iris encourages the princess to do her best in the tournament. Iris believes she too will make a great queen. With Iris staying behind, the king calls to Alice and suggests they go check on the city. He hopes that seeing the state of the kingdom will help her come to a resolution. As they walk through the city, Nicola notes that it's a good thing her father is safe. Their attention is drawn by cheers from a crowd gathered around a combat arena. Inside, a high elf swordsman faces an unarmed dark elf, and Alice asks Nicola who he thinks will win. Nicola confidently replies that the dark elf will win. Alice stares in shock, recognizing the man. The dark elf lends a powerful punch, knocking the high elf to the ground. The victor proudly proclaims to the crowd that this is proof of the superiority of dark elves over high elves. The defeated man's younger brother rushes into the arena, telling the fighter to leave his brother alone. The dark elf grabs the boy, asking if he's the little brother. He threatens to teach him a lesson, as well that he then callously throws the boy into the crowd. The dark elf continues to rile up the crowd, claiming that dark elves are the true superior race. Alice steps forward and demands that he stop. Her eyes are filled with anger. The crowd murmurs as the dark elf turns to face the interruption. He smirks when he sees her, greeting the high elven princess. Alice glares back at him, identifying him as Cole. In the arena, Colm questions Alice's return. She declares her intention to participate in the war for the throne. Colm scoffs, stating that dark elves will now rule the kingdom, and there is no longer a place for her. Undeterred, Alice asks if he intends to become the next king. Colm proudly announces that he holds the top rank in the tournament's preliminary rounds, making him the closest to the throne. When Alice questions his intentions as king, he reveals a sinister plan. His first act will be to enslave all high elves. He wants to make them suffer the same humiliation the dark elves have endured. Alice acknowledges Colm's strength, but remains undaunted. She confidently declares that he will not win the tournament. Instead, she proclaims that she will be the one to emerge victorious and become the next ruler of the country. Colm smirks at her declaration. He tells her she'll need to raise her rank significantly if she ever wants to face him. He then turns his back and walks away, leaving Alice with a look of fierce determination. The scene shifts to another location within the Elf Kingdom's capital. Back in the central area of the Elf Kingdom, Nicola begins a strategy meeting with Alice for the upcoming tournament. He lays out the first step of their plan, explaining that she must aim for 8th place in the rankings. This is necessary to qualify for the main event. The tournament requires competitors to climb the ranks by defeating higher-placed opponents, with only the top 8 advancing. Alice worries that her low rank will make it hard to find challengers. Nicola reassures her that as the High Elven Princess, she will attract many resentful dark elves. He then reveals another part of his strategy. He places several bags of money on the table. Nicola explains the money is from his termination at Shanoa Academy, which they will use as prize money to lure opponents. Touched by his dedication, Alice realizes how much he cares. She asks about his last pupil. Nicola's expression darkens as he describes her as a childish, narcissistic girl. He reveals she ultimately betrayed him, calling her the worst disciple he's ever had. As Nicola speaks of his former disciple, the door creaks open and a young woman with tears in her eyes appears, calling him master. Nicola is stunned by her sudden appearance. The woman, Mary, rushes forward and embraces him tightly. Nicola demands to know why Mary is there. He pushes her away, commenting on her audacity to show her face after her betrayal. Mary tearfully apologizes, admitting she was wrong. Still wary, Nicola questions if it is truly her or an imposter using shape-shifting magic. Mary asks if he could really forget her. Nicola retorts that he remembers the detestable face of his ex-disciple well. She explains that after he was expelled, she was captured by the Demon Lord's army, an experience that made her realize how much she had wronged him. Recalling how he had raised her, she expresses her joy at seeing him again. Nicola seems to relent slightly, acknowledging that she appears to have learned her lesson. Despite her story, Nicola remains deeply suspicious, asking what kind of trap she's setting. He reminds her that he taught her how to manipulate people by lowering their guard. Mary insists she truly cares, but Nicola furiously retorts that he could never trust the person who shot him in the back, that he declares that while he may be a coward, he would never betray a lifelong companion. Mary is heartbroken, admitting she had hoped for his forgiveness. Nicola coldly tells her to leave, that he states he never wants to see her face again. As she turns to go, Mary asks to say one last thing. She thanks him for everything, and tells him that he will always have a special place in her heart. After Mary slams the door, a concerned Alice asks Nicola if he's okay. He curtly dismisses her concern, and redirects their focus back to the tournament plans. Outside, Mary walks away alone, sobbing to herself and wondering what other outcome she could have expected. Walking through the city, Mary reflects on her reunion. She realizes Nicola is now dedicated to helping his new elf pupil win the throne. She begins to wonder how she can use this to her advantage. Her plotting is cut short when she suddenly recognizes someone in the crowd. It is Jay, the hero. Jay greets Mary, asking what brings her to the Elf Kingdom. She retorts, calling him Mr. Cheetah. When he asks if she still holds a grudge, she dismisses it as being in the past. She admits she hasn't been perfect either. Jay then asks what she is doing there, and she reveals she came to participate in the war for the throne. When Mary asks why he is also participating, Jay cryptically replies that it's a long story. In a flashback to the Republic of Shanoa, Jay is seen searching for Nicola, that he wants to apologize to him. A mysterious cloaked figure approaches, asking if he's looking for someone. As Jay questions their identity, the figure seems to recognize him, but is warned to stay silent. The cloaked figure offers to help Jay. They reveal they know he wants to reconcile with Nicola. Jay wonders what is going on. They instruct him to go to the Elf Kingdom and enter the tournament, where he will find him. To aid his journey, they provide money, a fake identity document, and a vial containing a secret drug. Jay asks about the drug. The figure explains it's a miraculous potion that increases magic and ki to their limits and can heal lethal wounds. Jay accepts the items, but questions their motive for helping him. Before he can get an answer, the figure vanishes, that he is left holding the fake ID. Back in the present, Mary notes that the fake ID is necessary for him to participate as a non-citizen. She asks if he truly wants to be king. Jay denies this, explaining his only goal is to make amends with Nicola. He plans to create a dramatic reconciliation match in the tournament to earn his forgiveness. Mary thinks his plan is insufficient. She tells him she has a better one that is sure to work. Nicola bursts in with news. Alice's first opponent has been decided, that she'll be fighting the 100th ranked combatant. Alice is shocked, wondering why someone so high-ranked would accept a match against her, who is ranked 30,000. Nicola explains he put up all his termination money as a prize. Alice immediately worries about how they'll manage future matches. Nicola outlines his strategy. He'll bet his life savings on her victory, that he will use the winnings to fund the prize for the next match, allowing her to quickly climb the ranks. He then warns her about her opponent, a dark elf named Glaive, who is known for his brutal, orc-like fighting style. Glaive is infamous for his cruelty, often continuing to attack opponents even after they have surrendered. Nicola adds that Glaive has already boasted he will disfigure her. She confidently tells Nicola that with him on her side, she fears no one. Impressed, Nicola notes that her encounter with Colm has filled her with determination, that he informs her the match is in 3 days, and that there is a technique she must master before then. He takes her hand to begin. With a quick touch, Nicola demonstrates the Kai seal. Alice is stunned as she feels her Kai vanish completely. Nicola explains that it is one of 3 secret techniques left by the martial artist Korn that temporarily blocks the flow of Kai. It works by sealing the pause from which Kai is released. Nicola elaborates that by blocking these pause, it is possible to completely stop an opponent from using their Kai, though the effect is only temporary. He instructs Alice to practice this technique until her match. She asks if the fight will be in the same arena Colm used, but Nicola clarifies that was merely a special arena for demonstrations. They arrive at the designated location for the duel. Nicola explains that the venue is determined by the combatant's wishes, meaning this was Glaive's choice. He offers a final word of encouragement, telling Alice to show them what she's made of. An official then calls for the next combatant to step forward. An official informs Alice that a teleportation circle will take her to the arena for match number 45. After thanking him, she steps onto the glowing sigil, in a flash of light. She is transported to a raised stone platform. Her opponent Glaive is already waiting. Alice approaches her opponent and confirms his identity. Glaive smirks, addressing her as the Elven Princess. He threatens to make her face unrecognizable. With the introductions made, the announcer declares the start of match 45, Glaive versus Alice. Alice and Glaive face each other, ready for their match to start. Glaive grins, telling Alice he is about to begin his attack. Glaive unleashes a swift kick towards Alice, but Glaive's eyes widen in shock at her agility. Alice easily ducks under the powerful kick, which passes harmlessly over her head. Frustrated, Glaive wonders about this girl's unusual skill. Alice continues to evade his clumsy punches. Growing tired, Glaive demands to know when she will stop running and attack him. Alice taunts him, asking if he has forgotten his promise to make her face unrecognizable. Alice explains that she is waiting for him to get tired of missing before she strikes. Enraged by her taunt, Glaive shouts that she has asked for it and charges forward. Alice calmly informs Glaive that he has lost the match. She lands a punch squarely on his torso. Glaive scoffs, claiming her punch was weak and didn't hurt him at all. He realizes in horror that the Kai he was using to defend himself has vanished. Alice warns him not to let his guard down now and closes in for another strike. She lands a powerful blow squarely on Glaive's chest. The force of the impact sends Glaive stumbling backward. Stunned, Glaive demands to know what she did. He asks how she managed to get past his defense. Alice calmly states that his mistake was declaring his intention to hit her face. She elaborates that attacking the zone he announced up front was a foolish move. She reveals that she simply waited for his last, predictable attack to break his defenses. Alice states that her victory was a result of his repeated mistakes. Defeated, Glaive collapses to the ground, admitting he lost. Alice raises her arm in victory, as she is declared the winner. Alice excitedly tells her teacher that she won. Nicola watches her approach and compliments her on a splendid match. She happily replies that his compliments always make her happy. Nicola then reveals that he won a massive sum of money from betting on her match. Alice is shocked by the news. Nicola explains that most people bet on Glaive because of her poor offensive capabilities and his strong defenses. He tells her that with the money, they can arrange for her to fight the 8th-ranked fighter. Alice is surprised to learn her next opponent is ranked so high. Nicola informs her that he has studied her next opponent's past matches, confirming he is far above her in all aspects. He stresses that when it comes to Rokai, the difference between them is insurmountable. Alice asks what her chances are. Nicola explains that the combatants for the main event will be decided in more than a month. This means she has a full month to train. That he confidently tells a worried Alice that he has an excellent plan in mind. Nicola declares that she will battle 100 Kai users to increase her own Kai. Alice is stunned, asking how she could possibly fight 100 people. That he explains that a person's Kai increases after defeating another Kai user, a concept they will use. She asks where they will find 100 Kai users to fight. Nicola explains they will use the tournament rule that requires combatants to defeat higher-ranked opponents to advance. That he explains the rules gather 100 low-ranked fighters, and the last one standing wins. Nicola laughs, saying he can't wait, and that it will be fun to watch her beat up a bunch of nobodies. Alice strongly disagrees, protesting that it doesn't sound like fun to her at all. With the plan settled, Nicola tells her it's time to get working. Alice cries out in disbelief. A hellish month of training began, during which Alice defeated 100 opponents daily, totaling over 3,000 victories. She trusted her mentor wholeheartedly and followed his instructions without question. 1 month later, the training was complete. Nicola tells Alice he is impressed with the effort she put in over the past month. Looking worn out, Alice admits that the training was hell. She recalls being punched countless times and having to endure so much pain. However, Alice says she successfully overcame it all and is now stronger. Nicola congratulates her, adding that she can now be proud to say she ranks on the C tier of Kai levels. He then begins to discuss the strategy for her fight against the 8th-ranked tournament combatant. Her opponent is an archer named Alec, who uses what are normally considered inferior weapons. However, Nicola explains that Alec is dangerous because he can imbue his arrows with Kai. Alice realizes this will be her first time battling an archer. Nicola adds that Alec also uses a paralysis coating on his arrows, meaning she's out as soon as one grazes her skin. Alice asks if poisons are allowed and Nicola confirms they are, stating that calling it cowardly is just an excuse. He then hands her a small vial. She looks at it quizzically, asking what it is. Nicola smiles, explaining it's proof that relying on poisons can come back to haunt you. Standing on a teleportation circle, Alice is informed she will be sent to the arena for match number 264. She turns to her teacher and wishes him luck. Nicola reassures her that she'll be fine as long as she sticks to the plan. In a flash of light, she arrives in a dense forest. Alice observes that her opponent, Alec, has chosen a forest for their battlefield. She recognizes that he has the upper hand at range. However, this means it's clear to her what she needs to do. High up on a branch, Alec lies in wait. Alec, ex-member of the High Elf Mercenary Corps, notes that his opponent is the princess. He believes the gap between their Kai levels isn't very wide. He feels he should be able to penetrate her Kai armor with his arrows, and intends to settle the match quickly. That he releases an arrow towards Alice. Alice twists her body, narrowly avoiding the incoming arrow. Alec is shocked that she managed to dodge his arrow. Having closed the distance, Alice stands before him and announces that she has found him. Frustrated, Alec fires another arrow. Alice easily knocks the arrow aside. Alec retreats, commenting that she has become a lot stronger in a short amount of time. He asks her what the secret to her strength is. Alice simply replies that it was effort. Alec decides not to press the issue. Alice asks if he intends to surrender. He drops his bow, asking if it isn't obvious just by looking. Alice questions why his Kai is so much lower than it should be, while Alec says it's to make his surrender believable. She demands he show her his true Kai levels, if he is being truthful. He asks why she would demand such a thing. Alice explains that a clone can't possibly match the Kai levels of the original. Alec asks if she is accusing him of using doppelganger magic. Alec dashes forward that he admits that she is completely right. Alice easily evades his attack. She strikes him down with a single blow. The The clone tumbles to the ground. Alice confirms that it was a clone after all. She quickly looks around, wondering where the real one is. An arrow suddenly slashes across Alice's back. The real Alec appears, announcing that he's got her. Alec admits that she gave him more trouble than he expected. Paralyzed on the ground, Alice asks if he is the real one. He confirms that he is, and that she forced him to use the trick up his sleeve. Alec asks if figuring out his clone was one of her tricks. She confirms that it was. Alec explains that people concentrate their Kai when attacking, neglecting their defenses, which is when he shoots his arrows. He says he recognizes her efforts, but this is as far as she can go. Lying on the ground, Alice winks and tells him that he is the one who is lost. With Alice on the ground, Alec gloats that the paralysis poison is taking effect and she will faint soon. He triumphantly declares that the moment her eyes close, his victory will be sealed. However, just as Alec celebrates, Alice dashes forward, warning him not to lower his guard. She lands a powerful punch to his face, followed by a swift kick that sends him flying through the air. Alec, stunned, demands to know how she can still move. Alice reveals a small vial, explaining she anticipated his use of poison and prepared an antidote in advance. As he calls her a coward, she retorts that someone who relies on poison has no right to call others cowardly before walking away victorious. With Alice's victory, the 8 finalists for the main tournament are decided, and expectations for her are high across the kingdom. Nicola tells her they must now memorize everything about the other contestants. As he looks over the list, he is shocked by what he sees. Nicola angrily exclaims that one of the finalists is Jay. When Alice asks if they know each other, she notes that Jay only barely qualified, ranking 7th. He grimly states that Jay is the man he despises most in the world. Alice realizes this is the same Jay, the former hero. Nicola confirms it, explaining that although Jay's Kai was taken away, weakening him, he remains a formidable warrior. Seeing Jay in the tournament, Nicola smiles, realizing his chance for revenge has finally come. Grabbing Alice, Nicola insists she must defeat Jay. He even suggests they resort to cowardly tactics like poison. Alice checks the tournament bracket and sees she'll face the hero in the semifinals. To reach that point, she must win all her preceding matches, starting with her next opponent, Captain Shula. Alice describes Captain Shula as the best swordsman in the Elf Kingdom and a dual wielder. She adds that he has no known weak points and grows even stronger alongside his twin brother, Kara. To counter him, Nicholas suggests Alice use the grimoire she won. Alice is hesitant, as the magic within is unfamiliar. Nicola insists she must adapt quickly. On the first day of the tournament, Nicola and Alice agree to train intensely before her match at the arena. Alice notices Nicola searching for someone. He admits he was looking for Jay, but Alice reminds him that only her match and Combs are scheduled for today. As the event begins, Nicola is stunned to see a familiar woman on stage, wondering what his sister is doing there. The woman welcomes the crowd and announces that the first match of the tournament for the throne is about to start. The woman introduces herself as Sattler, the principal of the Shano Academy and the host of the event. While the crowd murmurs in confusion, Nicola explains that the Academy has always maintained close ties with the Elf Kingdom. Sattler declares that she will serve as an impartial referee, ensuring the tournament is conducted with fairness. Sattler announces the first match. She introduces Captain Shula, who wields 2 blades with elegance. She also introduces Princess Alice, who has risen from the weakest to become one of the strongest. She invites Shula to speak first. He confidently declares that he will win because his strategy is unbeatable. After Shula's confident words draw cheers, Sattler calls on Alice. Alice steps forward and declares that she will be the one to come out on top, as she needs to win in order to build a nation where everyone can be happy. Sattler announces that Captain Shula, as the higher-ranked combatant, may choose a special rule for the match. Shula smirks and declares he wants to make it a 2 versus 2 tag match. Alice is surprised by the sudden change. Shula summons his brother, Kara, to fight alongside him, that he then tells Alice she can have her trainer as her companion. Before a shocked Alice can react, Nicholas steps forward and accepts the tag match. Shula grins, convinced that the siblings' victory is now guaranteed. Alice nervously asks Nicola if this is okay. The brothers smugly call it their master plan. Sattler officially announces the change to a tag match. Watching from the sidelines, Cone observes that their opponents have foolishly trod on the tiger's tail. As the match begins, Nicola instructs Alice to stand back. Confused, she asks if he intends to fight them both himself, that he confidently replies that he can deal with nobodies like them. He adds that he can do it without even lifting a finger. Enraged by the insult, the brothers yell at him. In response, Nicola unleashes a massive, explosive burst of Kai that fills the arena. The brothers shiver in terror, completely overwhelmed by Nicola's Kai. Nicola calmly asks if they still intend to fight. They collapse to their knees. They realize there's no way they could ever bite him. Schuler immediately surrenders. Nicola smirks at his easy victory. Sattler congratulates a stunned Alice on winning without a scratch. The announcer officially declares the Alice and Nicola duo as the winners of the match. As they walk away, Nicola tells Alice it was a good thing her opponents were idiots. She laments that she didn't get to do anything. Sattler announces the second match. However, one of the contestants interrupts to concede. Alice observes that Cone's opponent conceded the match. She remarks on Cone's popularity, noting that even some high elves favor him. Nicola wonders why someone so popular would try to start a revolution. Alice explains her belief that Cone sympathizes with the suffering of the people. Nicola ponders this, asking if there's another reason. Alice offers her theory. Cone may be trying to reunite with his long-lost sister, Iris, recalling his childhood vow to search for her. Alice concludes that Cone wants to win the crown to use its power and resources to find his sister. Nicola considers this information, thinking it might be useful. Days later, he calls to Alice, telling her it's time for the next match to begin. Alice expresses a desire to watch the third match in person, but Nicola insists they have preparation to make. They observe the match, Jay versus Orochi, through a crystal ball. Nicola feels the name Orochi is familiar. Alice wonders how a human like Orochi managed to gain elven citizenship. Alice theorizes that Orochi is Khan's mentor, which is likely how he acquired his citizenship. Nicola realizes this means Alice might face Orochi in the semifinals. In the arena, Jay and the masked Orochi prepare to fight. The match begins with Jay launching an immediate attack. Orochi effortlessly dodges his swift movements. Jay slashes at his opponent, only for Orochi to vanish completely. Startled, Jay realizes Orochi has instantly reappeared behind him. Alice asks what just happened. Nicola explains that Orochi used magic to turn his body into mist to avoid the attack, then struck during the opening. Alice recognizes the magic from her grimoire. Nicola confirms it's the same kind. In the arena, Orochi is confident that such an attack isn't enough to defeat the tenacious former hero. However, Jay coughs up blood and collapses. The winner of the third match is declared to be Orochi. Alice is shocked by the outcome. Nicola explains that Orochi's katana was imbued with magic, making it strong enough to cut through Jay's armor of Kai. With Jay defeated, Nicola resigns himself to getting his revenge another time. He tells Alice they must now focus on creating a strategy to defeat Orochi. Though he still intends to deal with Jay eventually, he states that his priority, right now, is Alice. Jay tries to console a frustrated Mary over their crushed hopes of reassembling the hero's party. Mary accepts the defeat. However, she reveals she has a new plan in mind. Mary explains to Nicola and Alice that her master wants his pupil to be victorious. Nicola is concerned about their lack of knowledge on Orochi. She explains Orochi uses rare Eastern magic. Mary confidently states that as the #1 magician in Seas, she has enough knowledge to share. Mary decides to visit her master to share her knowledge and invites Jay. Jay declines the offer. She suggests it's a chance to make up with him. Jay's pride as a former hero prevents him from facing them after a defeat. Instead, he hands her a small vial, asking her to deliver it on his behalf. Jay explains the vial contains a powerful potion received from a stranger that enhances magic and heals wounds. Mary is wary of the potion's contents, but he assures her an alchemist verified its legitimacy. Mary agrees to deliver it to her master. Before she leaves, Jay asks her to pass on an apology to Nicola. Jay expresses his regret, hoping Nicola will at least know how he feels. even if forgiveness is out of reach. Mary promises to deliver the message. She departs, leaving Jay to watch her go. Later, Mary arrives at a door in size. She knocks on the door. Alice opens it, surprised to see her. Nicola questions Mary's presence. She bows respectfully and declares her intention to help her master. She offers to share her knowledge of Eastern magic, that Mary's plan is to help him strategize against Orochi. However, Nicola is deeply suspicious, believing she might be trying to lure them into a trap. He asks her to leave. Despite her pleas to help, he sternly orders her to leave. Mary is shocked by his harsh rejection. As a dejected Mary turns to go, Alice stops her. Alice recognizes her as Mary the magician. Staring intently at her, Alice vouches for Mary. She tells Nicola that she believes Mary's intentions are genuine. Nicola remains unconvinced, but Alice argues she has reasons to trust Mary. She points out that if Mary wanted to harm them, a surprise attack would be more effective. Alice notes that Mary is way stronger than her. Reminding Nicola of his own lesson that knowledge is strength, she insists that hearing Mary out is worth the risk. Persuaded by Alice's reasoning, Nicola reluctantly agrees to listen. A relieved Mary is happy he's willing to listen. She produces a crystal ball to show them footage of a mock battle. The footage demonstrates Orochi's abilities. Mary explains that the footage shows the same magic used by Orochi. The spell allows the user to turn his body into intangible forms like light or fog, rendering him invulnerable. Nicola asks about drawbacks. Mary confirms that the spell is extremely taxing on the user. She explains it cannot be used repeatedly. Nicola quickly realizes the spell's weakness. Since it must be cast at will, a surprise attack would leave the user defenseless. Mary confirms this is all she has to share. Nicola thanks her, finding the information useful. He then curtly dismisses her. Just as she's leaving, Mary remembers one last thing she has for him. Mary presents the potion from Jay, explaining it's a single-use power-up drug. Nicola immediately assumes it's poison, but Mary reassures him that it's harmless. She then delivers Jay's message, telling Nicola that Jay hopes it will help and that he is sorry. Nicola listens in silence. Still wary, Nicola says he can't trust Jay or Mary yet and will have his own alchemist inspect the potion. Mary accepts his terms that as Mary gets up to leave, Alice stops her. Alice makes a surprising request. She wants Mary to teach her magic. Mary points out that Alice can already use form-changing magic. Alice explains her ability is too short-lived to be useful in battle, and she wants Mary's tutelage to master it. Nicola immediately objects. Alice argues that they need every advantage to defeat Orochi. She reminds him of his own pragmatic advice. Declaring this her path of cowardice, Alice is determined. She eagerly tells Mary she's counting on her. Mary seeks Nicola's approval. He reluctantly agrees, telling them to do as they wish. Overjoyed, Alice grabs a disgruntled Nicola's arm. The three form a temporary alliance. Nicola looks on with unease. Mary smiles brightly. Time passes, and the day of the semifinals arrives. At the arena, Nicola runs into Cone. Cone explains he's there to watch his mentor's performance. Nicola asks about the identity of the masked fighter, Orochi. Cone is surprised he doesn't already know. Cone dismisses Nicola's question. He cryptically tells Nicola he might be better off not knowing. As Alice arrives, he tells Nicola he'll find out in due time. She finds Nicola looking troubled, but he brushes off her concern. Nicola spots Orochi nearby. The masked man approaches and greets him as Nico, much to Nicola's confusion. Orochi explains that the spell modulating his voice might be throwing him off, then removes his mask. Orochi greets Nicola after a long time. Nicola is utterly shocked to see his own father's face. His father explains that he took on many pupils, including Cone, after his travels and decided to enter the tournament simply for fun. His father expresses excitement for the event. A stressed Nicola tells him that his sister, Sadala, has been worried that he then chides Nicola for not recognizing him when they met in the dungeon. Nicola is left flabbergasted by the revelation that the fake Sadala was his father. Nicola argues his father should have used his real name, but he playfully deflates that he then looks forward to his match against Alice. Alice nervously accepts the challenge. An announcement calls the participants to the arena as the semifinals are about to begin. In the arena, the announcer introduces Orochi, a fighter of overwhelming power. His opponent is Princess Alice, the tournament's dark horse. Facing her opponent, Alice boldly declares that she will defeat him. Orochi smirks, impressed by the spirit of Nico's pupil. The match begins. He immediately launches himself at Alice, his sword flashing. Alice barely dodges the swift slash. Orochi warns her not to hold back. He challenges her to show him the foul techniques Nicola taught her. Alice is stunned by his incredible speed. She prepares to use her magic for the first time in a real fight. Alice warns Orochi to prepare himself. She transforms her. Orochi recognizes the spell she's using. Using her newfound agility, Alice evades his blade. She lands a kick. Orochi finds this interesting, noting that she defeated Rise. Alice wonders what he knows. Orochi reveals that the magic comes from a rare grimoire he brought back from his travels. Impressed that she could learn it, he admits he may have underestimated her. Seeing her plan has failed, Alice steels herself. She prepares for his next assault. Alice manages to dodge a flurry of slashes. Orochi compliments her reflexes, that he warns her that she won't be able to maintain that pace for long. The relentless assault continues, and Orochi lands a blow. He lands another decisive blow. Alice crashes to the ground, and he declares his victory was inevitable. Despite her injuries, Alice tries to get up, insisting she can still fight. Orochi tells her not to force it, that he notes her mana is gone, but it's impressive she is still conscious. Citing his standards, he states he won't inflict further pain on his son's disciple. He asks Sattler for her verdict, that Orochi asks Sattler to declare him the winner. Nicola watches intently. Alice consumes the potion given to her by Jay. A surge of power erupts from her body. With renewed strength, Alice shouts that it's not over yet. She charges forward and lands a devastating punch. The blow sends Orochi flying, and he coughs up blood. Orochi acknowledges her excellent comeback with the restorative potion. He says he expected no less from Nico's disciple. The announcer declares Alice the winner. She advances to the finals. The finals of the war for the throne are about to begin, and the city is abuzz with anticipation. The match pits the dark elf Colm against the elven princess Alice. The crowd overwhelmingly favors Colm, with many openly doubting if the princess stands any chance of victory. In the crowd, two cloaked figures watch with concern for Princess Alice. Elsewhere, Colm arrives at a room and knocks. From inside, Nico invites him in, apologizing for the summons. He congratulates Colm on reaching the finals. Colm brushes off the congratulations, stating that Alice would have easily won if Nico hadn't lost along the way. Getting straight to the point, Colm holds up a letter and asks if Nico can truly help him find the person he is looking for. When Nico offers a drink, Colm angrily rejects it. He accuses Nico of trying to poison him. Unfazed, Nico calmly sips his tea, remarking that Colm must hate him. Colm ignores the comment and asks for the whereabouts of Princess Alice. Nico explains that he sent her away so they could speak privately, that he then gets to the heart of the matter, confirming he knows Colm is searching for his sister. Colm asks if Nico knows where she is. Nico claims he can arrange a meeting between Colm and his sister, that a suspicious Colm questions how he can trust this is not a trap. He also questions how Nico would know of his sister's location, and Nico explains that Princess Alice's position grants her access to vast amounts of information. Desperate, Colm asks if Nico will truly let him see his sister. Nico agrees, but on one condition. He asks Colm to confirm that his reason for entering the tournament was to find her. Colm admits that his sole objective has always been to find his sister, that he explains that she was persecuted by the High Elves as a child, and he lost track of her during that time. He vowed then to become strong enough to rescue her. This lifelong goal leaves him with no choice but to trust Nico, even at the risk of walking into a trap. Nico, now understanding Colm's motivations, acknowledges his story. He gives his word to reunite him with his sister. As Colm departs, he states that he will hold no expectations. The scene then shifts to the Grand Colosseum on the day of the finals. At the bustling arena, Nico runs into Orochi, who greets him familiarly. Nico asks if he is there to watch his pupil, and Orochi confirms he is. Nico mentions that he owes him for the semifinals. He explains that Alice would not have won if Orochi had been fighting seriously. Orochi dismisses the idea, insisting he fought with all his might. When Nico asks about Alice's chances against Colm, Orochi confidently assures him that he has a plan to guarantee her victory. Nico remains skeptical, praising Colm's strength and determination. Unswayed, Orochi simply tells him to look forward to a surprise and walks away. Nico announces he needs to see someone and departs. Down in the arena, the finalists Alice and Cone stand ready for their match. As Alice and Cone face off, Orochi explains Nico's absence to Alice's companion. Just then, an announcer declares that the decisive match between the High Elves and Dark Elves is about to begin. Both Alice and Colm confirm they are ready to fight. As the crowd watches with bated breath, the announcer officially begins the final match of the tournament. Meanwhile, in a quiet corridor of the Colosseum, Nico meets with a young dark elf named Iris. She questions why he has called her away from her duties, but he reassures her that her absence is covered. He then reveals his purpose. He wants to reunite her with her brother, Cole. Iris immediately sees through Nico's plan to aid the princess, but expresses her fear of facing her brother again. Nico acknowledges the danger to her if her identity is revealed, but Iris clarifies that her fear is not for her own life. She fears Colm's resentment. Nico is puzzled as to why her brother would resent her. Iris believes Colm will despise her for hiding from him all these years, as she was his only living relative. She admits she lacks the courage to face him. Nico tries to reassure her, stating that Colm wants to see her and harbors no resentment. He dismisses her fears as mere speculation and reminds her of the benefit her appearance would bring to Alice. A vision of the fight between Alice and Colm flashes through her mind. Nico presses her with a critical question: who is more important, Alice or Colm? With tears in her eyes, Iris declares her loyalty to the princess. Nico tells Iris that by helping Alice, she can deal with any potential resentment from Colm later. He leaves the final decision to her. Resolved, Iris makes her choice. The cheers from the arena echo around them. Back in the arena, the battle rages on. Colm lands a powerful blow to Alice's midsection. The force of Colm's attacks sends Alice reeling. He tells her it is clear she cannot win, and asks why she refuses to surrender. Struggling to her feet, Alice proclaims that she fights to build a nation where both High Elves and Dark Elves can coexist peacefully. Driven by her conviction, Alice declares she cannot lose. Colm admires her resolution. He states that he will end the fight swiftly, that he prepares a final, decisive strike. Just as Colm moves to attack, he freezes, his attention caught by a figure entering the arena. He stares in disbelief, recognizing the newcomer as his long-lost sister, Iris. After years of searching, she is finally here. Alice is stunned by Iris's sudden appearance. Colm, overcome with emotion, calls out to his sister that he asks if she remembers him. At that moment, a determined Alice cries out an apology to Cole. Seizing the opportunity, while Cole is distracted by the emotional reunion, Alice lunges forward, delivering a powerful kick. She follows up with a swift punch that connects squarely with Colm's jaw. A shocked Iris cries out his name. Cole falls, but a smile spreads across his bruised face as he tells Iris he has finally found her, that he reveals that the tournament was merely a means to this end. A tearful Iris asks if he hates her for abandoning him. He kneels and reassures her that he could never hate her, that he apologizes for breaking his childhood promise to protect her, and for the suffering she endured. Vowing to protect her from now on, Iris cries. Colm pulls his sister into a long-awaited embrace, that as the siblings reunite, they promise to stay together. With his life's goal now fulfilled, Colm formally surrenders the match. The crowd erupts in cheers as Colm admits defeat. The announcer declares Princess Alice the victor of the war for the throne, and the new monarch of the Elf Kingdom. The arena echoes with chants of "Long live Queen Alice." Amid the celebration, the newly crowned queen searches the corridors, calling for her teacher Nico. Finding him, Alice rushes into his arms, joyfully exclaiming that she succeeded. Nico congratulates her warmly. She insists the victory was thanks to his plan, but he tells her the credit belongs to her own efforts, that he then asks what her plans are now. Nico tells Alice her duties, as the new ruler will leave no time for training. He praises the once-weak princess for becoming the strongest martial artist in the kingdom. Alice credits him for her growth. Nico insists it was her own hard work. He admits, however, that he also grew stronger alongside her. Nico reflects on his own journey, confessing that while he was physically strong, his heart was weak. Being kicked from the hero's party made him lose faith in others, so he set out to become strong. He sought only physical strength to protect his fragile heart. Meeting Alice, however, changed him, allowing him to open up and trust again. Proudly, Nico tells Alice it was an honor to be her teacher. When she asks about his future, he mentions the possibility of becoming a teacher in another country. Alice immediately grabs him, refusing to let him go. Alice confesses she was always weak, but meeting him changed that. She resented her own weakness, but he saved her. She admits her own shortcomings still haunt her, and that she needs him by her side to help her overcome them. With him, she feels she can face any obstacle. Nico affectionately calls her a greedy girl. Her earnest plea touches him, and he relents with a smile, deciding he is an indulgent man for giving in to his students' wishes. He will postpone his job search for another day. Alice beams with happiness. Overjoyed, Alice embraces Nico from behind, confessing her love for him, the hero of the party.